Hello. I wanted to record a message for you to help you get settled in on your 6th episode. Let's see. First, there's an introductory greeting from the company that I'm supposed to read. Welcome to Knights of the D-Pad, a magical place for gamers and weebs alike, where fantasy and fun come to life. Knights of the D-Pad is not responsible for anyone becoming a League, Fortnite, Genshin, or Overwatch player. Upon discovering that these games are being played, a mental health notice might be filed within 90 days, or as soon as the property and premise have been thoroughly cleaned and bleached and the carpets have been replaced, blah, blah, blah. Now, I know that might sound bad, I know, but there's nothing really to worry about. The hosts here do get a bit quirky at night, but do I blame them? Not really. If I were forced to talk about game companies making everyone mad at them and being greedy cash grabbers for 3 seasons, I'd probably be a bit irritable at night, too. So remember, these hosts hold a special place in the hearts of Scott, and we need to show them a little respect, right? Okay. So, yeah, they don't really tell you these things when they sign up, but hey, the 6th episode should be a breeze. I'll chat with you tomorrow. Make sure you check those cameras, and remember to close the doors only if absolutely necessary. Gotta conserve that power. Alright, good night.
What are the doors in this metaphor?
That's
Also, why do us hosts only get quirky at night?
I would say that's because we're dreaming.
I'm quirky 24/7.
I'm always quirky.
That's my secret cap.
Secret cap. I'm always quirky.
That was clever, very clever. Hey,
Anyways, welcome everyone to episode 6 of what happened to my right? What did you do?
Court.
Nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome to episode 6 of Knights of the D-Pad. For back-to-back weeks, we have all 4 of us. Wait a minute.
Yay!
Wait a minute.
Never happened before.
And the set's like exactly the same for the most part, other than like maybe some additional things on there.
Yeah, some new decorations.
And
Table.
we've got some costumes.
Halloween costumes.
Yep. So.
Court, you want to explain to the visual viewers who you are?
Oh yeah.
It's
So
not super obvious.
it is not super obvious. So
No.
me and all my roommates went to a Harry Potter party. Well, not all my roommates, but a lot of my roommates went to a Harry Potter party last night, and we all dressed up as the what are they called? Like
Drumhers?
Durmstrang students.
The Bulgarian
The
students.
Bulgarian students with like Victor Crumb and everyone. They all
Yeah.
got the staffs.
You remember Harry Potter 4,
It
right?
doesn't light up, unfortunately, when he
It does
smashes
not.
it
Doesn't
on
make
the floor.
sparks.
But
Yeah, I'd just like to point out, you wouldn't be able to see this in the camera, but I just noticed that your tunic, shirt, whatever, says deep feelings on the
Love
side.
and hope.
Love and hope.
very Durmstrang.
Very
Very-
Durmstrang. Love and hope. Victor Crumb.
Yeah. But anyway, we got the staffs.
My
They were
favorite
really
part
cool.
of Harry Potter was when Victor Crumb said, "If we use the power of friendship and hope, we'll be able to defeat the man."
We'll see how long
or the-
Court holds on to his
He who should not be named.
Not very.
My favorite part was when Victor Crumb said, "It's Crummin' time."
It's Crummin' time. You played John Crummin. I'm dressed from Dwight and Shining Armor, the hit BYU TV show, streamed for free on BYUTV.com and the BYU TV app.
What?
I'm part of the Woodside Senior Setter Dodgeball League. You know, they win, so it's all
You
good.
seem like you would be in a seniors dodgeball league.
Yeah, they gotta have some youth on their team.
They have someone to keep it alive, right?
Someone to keep it alive.
Just imagining just one like 20-year-old
With a bunch of elderly.
seniors.
Yeah.
Just absolutely going nuts out there.
Headshot, double kill,
This is-
triple kill.
It is
like
an
that-
interesting episode.
It'd be like that scene in Spy Family where there's the one like 6-foot-something grade schooler whose dad's
The
a military
American.
general, and he's just like taking people out in the dodgeball like 3 at a time.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I wonder what you could be, Kyle.
Oh, well.
It's Zelda.
Yeah, there we go.
Zelda!
I was waiting for that. What if Zelda was a girl? Okay, no, we're not going to stop with that meme. Okay, I'm Link as he appears in Breath of the Wild.
Link.
Me when my phone
Wake
sees
up,
my phone when it sees a QR code. Link.
Yep, and so this year I really splurged on
You
making
did.
on a Halloween
looks
costume.
awesome.
Where's your
Pretty cool.
sword?
Comes did not come with it, but it did come with this Sheikah slate that hangs off the
You know,
belt
the
that
most
you've been
important
seeing.
part of Link's costume.
Well, for Breath of the Wild, that's pretty
it
important.
is pretty important.
Where's your
Um,
big green hat?
Or I
Yeah.
guess blue hat in this case.
Doesn't
No, he didn't have
Zelda
a
wear
blue
a
hat.
big green hat? Where is Zelda's big green hat that he wears?
Oh
he
my
wears.
goodness.
What are you dressed as, Ben?
Yeah, what are you?
I'm dressed as a serial killer that nobody suspects because I do daily normal activities.
You're just a normal person.
He's dressed as the
Oh.
scariest thing. A normal person who you need to make a phone call with to schedule an appointment.
He's the receptionist.
There is an imposter among us.
What?
It's Ben. It's Ben.
To be honest, Court, I was
dressed
like
up.
genuinely like had a sneaking suspicion that you would find a way to come walking in like one of those inflatable costumes, and was like, I am not ready for that.
We're
If
on
it
the
happens.
verge of greatness. We were this close.
But like
The podcast is just infected with the sound of
The whole time.
Oh yeah, the fan, and plus every
fan.
time he moves, he like tries to lean in to speak, and you just hear as the like
you like hit
fabric
the mic.
just
The mic went hit the
And we have one more costume
Yeah,
on the
Lillian's
set here.
dressed up.
Lillian, come on,
If you want to show off,
show off your
Team
awesome
Rocket,
costume.
Team Rocket blasts off again
Heck
for the
yeah.
12th million time. I don't pick an angle, any
pick an
angle.
angle.
Probably the main angle.
Main angle, yeah.
She's also dressed.
very cool.
Very, very
She
cool.
probably she
It's Meowth from
makes
Team
Kyle,
Rocket, guys.
gives
Oh my
Kyle a run
gosh.
for his money in terms of all out for a
Yeah.
costume.
Yeah.
So you guys actually don't know this, but that color of pink is actually my natural hair color. I have
you
to-
dye it blonde.
Yeah, I dye it blonde to keep appearances, but that's my natural.
Yeah, we're
hair.
all
I
dressed
knew it.
These three are especially dressed up. I'm like half, and Ben claims to be.
No, I'm the third one that's specially dressed up.
Ah, of course, of course.
She just dresses like that every day.
I mean,
Yeah, this is
It's another day in the
Lillian's
office.
normal fit.
Another day in the office.
I get up in the morning, I brush my teeth, I put on my Team Rocket uniform. I go to school at BYU.
Do another day of interrupting people playing Pokemon Go around campus.
Dude, actually, that would be so fun.
Have you seen that when Pokemon Go first came out? There were totally a ton of people who did stuff like that. There's like this group that went
don't
to
have to sit down
Central
there forever,
Park
Lillian.
with
Not
Jesse
again.
and James costumes. They like put the phone in the
You're free
bag.
to leave at any time.
Okay, yeah, you can head off.
Like
yeah.
last week where you were
Last
there
week
like
it's
the whole
only-
time.
I saw the video.
I made a bit out of
You
it.
edited
I
it,
made
yeah,
a bit out of it last week.
Lillian's like, let me leave, please.
Somebody send help. Anyways.
Anyway.
Just because the day after this episode is released is Halloween, so we, wanna
Wait,
keep
tomorrow's
it-
Halloween?
No, the day after it's
The day
released,
after
it's
this
not
episode's
filmed.
released. Next Tuesday.
Wait, the day after tomorrow is Halloween?
Okay.
Okay, I see.
Anyways, we've got some fun bits of news to get through. Most of it is kind of like small fun news. There's one larger topic and then, the most important topic to talk about, which we'll get to. So,
Yep.
who wants to? I think mine is probably the largest of like the actual news topics, because that's just So who wants to begin?
I'll start off with something kind of funny. So, you guys ever heard?
That's hilarious.
I mean, it's true. Like, have you ever heard Court?
I've never heard once in my life.
I feel the vibrations through my toes.
What you got for us, Kyle?
So, you guys may have heard of this card game that spawned off a TV show. Well, actually, it was the other way around, but Yu-Gi-Oh!
It's time to.
Duel! So, yeah, just a funny little news topic since this is gaming. We don't cover card game related stuff recently, but I just happened to find this on my newsfeed and this kind of
This
cracked
was
me up.
crazy.
Yeah, you found the story?
I found the story.
So basically, huge Yu-Gi-Oh tournament, right? And the guy who won, did it using one of the oldest and hardest to pull off tricks in the book, which is Exodia.
He used Exodia?
He
Not
used Exodia.
once.
Not
Not
once?
once.
Multiple
Not
times.
twice. He used it 3 times.
in the tournament and won.
And won.
Now, this should not even be possible in the current state of the
It
game.
requires the stars to
because
align.
It not only requires the stars to align, it just shouldn't have been possible anyway. It required the stars to align when it was first released. But Yu-Gi-Oh! Is one of the biggest cases of power creep in all of gaming. Because it used to be like you had a strong monster or you had a monster with an effect, right? But then, to get people to buy new cards, they were like, well, what if we made strong monsters with effects? Well, what if we made strong monsters with 2 effects? With 3, with
It
4?
literally is the precursor to gacha games.
And it's so bad. It's like you
You've
look
got,
at the
like-
card and you've got like freaking Lord of the Rings, the entire trilogy just written right there. You need a magnifying glass to find out what your blue eyes triple white dark dragon does so that you can pendulum summon the other. Yeah, it's bonkers. The power creep is insane.
But Exodia still.
But
wins.
Exodia, if you put out all 5 pieces, which it takes a long time and a lot of luck
I think you just need to have all
to
5
do
in your
that.
hand.
And
Yeah.
oh yeah, that's right. You need to
It's
have
like
all
a
5
deck
in your
that you can
hand.
choose to start with some of them, I think, and then
Yeah.
you get others.
And basically, this guy built his deck to just draw Exodia, which, remember, was hard enough in the early days
And
when
now it's,
everything
like,
else wasn't
literally
already
impossible.
beefed up. And now it should have been impossible. But this guy did it, and he didn't just do it a few times. He won the tournament with it. With this old trick that shouldn't even work. Because, like, his opponent's putting out these, like, here's my 5-paragraph dragon that does 8 things.
Well, like, he somehow was able to go first all of those times. Because you have to start. If you don't go first...
If you don't go first, you don't get Exodia.
Because, like, the one time in one of the matches where he didn't get to go first, he just forfeit.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I know I can't win. But then he just...
And the crazy thing was, when he finally won the tournament, he got a standing ovation from everyone. Including his opponent.
Like, if you get beat by Exodia 3 times, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times, like...
It's like, you just good job, man.
Better.
GG.
You're just
GG.
better. You are just better.
He's just better.
So, like, one of the most ridiculous things in any card game I've ever heard of happening.
Get the Exodia.
Absolutely insane. So, yeah, that was funny. That was really funny to hear.
times.
And I'm not even that big into Yu-Gi-Oh! And I understood
But
how
I know what
funny that
Exodia
was.
is.
Yep.
Yeah, I know what it is too. I definitely know what we're talking about.
Well, why don't you talk about something you do know about Court? You've got one of 3 things on here. Pick one.
What did I put on there?
Well, you have your
Fortnite.
tried and true method.
Oh my! my old. my
Cue
old
the jingle.
friend. Court shields for
All right.
Fortnite.
Why don't you tell us, Court? What's going on?
All right. So
As prophesied by Thor in Endgame.
Endgame. So Fortnite has.
Yes, Fortnite.
Yes. So
Fortnite.
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 Okay,
You guys are
go.
making this really difficult for me. Basically, okay, so Fortnite has been through a lot of changes over the years that it's been active. In its original state, it went through 10 seasons, and then they changed the whole
Island,
everything. They
everything.
changed everything and changed it, and then they called it Chapter 2. And then
they
they
did
did all
again.
of Chapter 2. Chapter 2 was 8 seasons, then they did Chapter 3. Chapter 3 was 4 seasons, and we're currently in Chapter 4 right now. But every chapter has brought major changes to like the way the game plays, the way the map looks, the map itself, the loot pool, just everything. Everything changes, and by this point, it is a very, very different game.
But now.
than it was back in Chapter 1, back in 2018. And
Man.
so, for years now, there has been, I mean, honestly, since Chapter 2 started, but especially in more recent times, there has been a lot of like clamor from hardcore players that are like, we missed Chapter 1, we want to go back to the iconic tilted towers Destiny. Like we want to go back to that OG era of
I want
Fortnite.
to go back to the OG when, like, before Dusty got hit by a meteor.
Yeah, like
original.
like the OG, like we want kind of that original vibe back because like they have fond
Goodness,
memories of
people are
it.
starting to get nostalgic over Fortnite.
Yeah.
You know how old that makes me feel?
5 years ago.
And
Before the Fire Nation attack.
before the fire, before the dark times,
Before
the
COVID
Empire. But anyway, and so
Now, returning from the Disney Vault.
yeah, I mean, basically, so Epic, they've integrated into the storyline for this like season, basically the big bad of this season's storyline. Epic has been notoriously, especially recently, iffy about their
story goes
storyline,
off.
but is like this time traveling vampire collector. So he's like a vampire, and he travels through time and gets like different things to add to his collection.
This is starting to make me think of the story in Super Smash Bros.
Yeah, is this a
Brawl where they were
subspace
episode?
where they were just
Yeah.
hitting people and turning them into the statues.
Like,
Epic.
but so like throughout the whole season, he's been going back in time and getting old weapons and then putting them in like these vaults. And so then like the whole theme of the season has been
Disney
heisting these weapons from these vaults, right?
No.
And these items. And so the story basically is going to conclude in a week or so with our main band of heist characters basically messing up the heist and screwing with his time machine
Sending us
Oh.
and
back.
taking
Back to episode
Back to the
everyone
future. I mean, back to
Back
season
to the
1.
future.
We have like a specific date. There's like a date that they've teased
Oh my-
on like loading
when
screens and
when
stuff.
the patch of
Like when
this date.
when to the past we're going.
Oh,
And
what
it's
was
the
the-
very beginning of season 5 of chapter 1, which is when a lot of people think is like the peak of Fortnite. And so we're going back. The OG, they've fully confirmed it now. They've been sending out like
They have a map
giant
out there.
like teasers to different content creators. Like it's like we're going back to the original map, the original loot pool, the original like everything is going back to the OG, but it's only gonna be for a month.
Oh.
And it'll be like a month long like super
Payday.
event where it's like every week is like a new one of the seasons from
Okay, that's kind of cool.
like
You want to know when it starts?
when?
On my birthday.
It does?
Birthday.
Well, happy birthday.
Well, November 3rd. It's still got a bit.
Happy birthday in advance.
Oh, thank you.
So there's still a lot we don't know. They've just kind of been hinting about it, but we do know that come November 3rd, something will happen with the time machine, and the map will revert back to the original map, and the
As
gameplay
prophesied
and
in
the,
Endgame.
and the weapons and
I
everything.
was so when that was announced,
That's-
everyone was
that's
like,
actually
"Wait a
kinda
minute,
cool.
Wait a
Endgame
minute.
literally prophesied."
Yeah,
and
so
foretold.
for context, in Endgame, which is supposed to take place in November of 2023,
Thor is playing on the
Thor
original
Thor and
Fortnite
Thor
map.
are playing, but they're
Oh my
playing on the
gosh.
original Fortnite
That's
map.
what you meant.
Like
Yeah, and
literally
it's like-
as foretold.
And so people were like, "Well, that's not going to be the case." Like, so Endgame was
Well-
wrong, and it's like,
Actually.
You think Epic did that on purpose?
I wouldn't put it past.
I wouldn't
them.
say.
I wouldn't-
at this point, it's not sheer coincidence.
I wouldn't
like,
put it
there's
past them.
no way.
That's
especially since they have
too
such a
good.
close tie with Marvel. It could
Oh,
totally
yeah.
be a happy coincidence,
but
but I
that's
think
so funny.
it
Do you want to
totally
know
could be.
something
It's
funny?
perfect. What?
Like going outside of this. Guess between Court and I, who has played more Fortnite in the past week?
Somehow this guy,
Ben?
because you've been playing.
I've been playing Spider-Man.
Okay.
Well, why don't you tell
That's
us
fair.
some stuff about Spider-Man that you put on the
Wait,
thing?
but first, I think we need to take a moment to acknowledge that Ben is playing Fortnite. I've converted him. I've taken him to the dark side.
You brought him from League. The bar was already like so low.
But also, the other thing is that he's really good at it.
Yeah.
Somehow the MOBA transferred into a third
Oh,
person
sure.
Yeah,
shooter.
but yeah.
I'm just good with a sniper. I'm good with those kind of like if I'm able to get a solid position, I can pick people off pretty easily.
Okay.
Well,
He's
just
a
get better,
long
Cord.
range support. Yeah, that's fair. Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
You both have Spider-Man
Spider-Man.
stuff, so we'll start with his, and then we'll go yours.
Mine's like really something
Yeah,
small.
Yeah, so
mine's
yours-
pretty short too.
It's
But
fine. Let's
basically,
go back to back short.
Spider-Man 2 broke the record for most like sales within a 24-hour period for a PlayStation for a PlayStation game. Like
Not surprising.
blew everything
it
else
doesn't
out of the
surprise me.
water, which is just crazy because I mean, yeah, it's big. It was really
It doesn't surprise me. I
millions
think,
of like I can't remember the exact number, but I mean it was.
I think it was
tons
close
of
to
copies.
50 million, wasn't it?
That's
It was somewhere between 30 and 50, I think.
It was
Ben, I
some,
think,
but
is
like
getting the
within the
exact
first
numbers.
24 hours. Like it was like
It doesn't surprise me because it's like when you think of
Huge,
games that were highly
honestly.
anticipated this year, it was like what Tears of the Kingdom and
And Spider-Man
and
2.
this.
and Starfield.
Well, but Starfield, everyone was like, "Oh, I
People
don't know if
still
it'll
had
be
some
good."
trepidation
People
about
had some
Starfield.
concerns.
But everyone knew this game was going to be good.
But like
yeah.
everybody knew this
Yeah.
game was going to
Yeah.
be good and that Tears of the Kingdom would be good.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because like no one expected Baldur's Gate to be big. Hogwarts Legacy was just filled with controversy before it even came out.
Hogwarts Legacy, yeah, could have totally been a miss. It was luckily a hit, but it could
So
have.
it
Yeah.
doesn't surprise me.
I think
that this
Jedi
one-
Survivor was one that people
Yeah, but it's
figured
pretty
would be
hype.
good,
Unfortunately,
but,
it was
but then it
released-
was
it's
released in a
when
pretty
it-
buggy state.
There's
It's good
literally
now.
there's literally like no other big game that's being released in the last
Yeah.
like 2 or 3 weeks. Like,
Well,
Starfield was almost a month ago.
Mario Wonder released the same.
Yes,
day as
for
Spider-Man.
Mario
That's
Wonder.
true, but it's a
Yeah.
different. It's not competing on consoles.
Yeah,
Like
that's
there's
fair.
literally
Yeah.
no overlap. There is no
That's
overlap
true.
between Mario
Yeah.
Wonder and Spider-Man 2.
Yeah,
That's
fair.
very
So-
true.
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
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 me pictures of
Spider-Man.
We could
Yes,
rule this city, Spider-Man.
But then Ben, what do you?
Yeah, Ben, what do
Spider-Man
you have
2
to say?
Mine,
also-
yeah, just a little kind of something cool that I thought was pretty touching was you can find a kind of like mosaic style memorial for one of the Spider-Man 2 developers who passed away
Aw.
in
2018. I think.
2019.
2019. It was an Insomniac. It was like an art director, artist. For
Yeah, Craig
Insomniac.
Goodman.
So they have a lily. It's like on one of the walls.
Aw. Okay, that is so
It
cool.
is very cool.
Why does Spider-Man look like he's having a
Why is he
meltdown?
doing the?
Look, that was just what we. That was the image that was found.
Bro is grieving. All right.
Yeah.
I thought it was right thing, but the thing that really struck me at first is I really thought that was Germa when I first saw it,
Ah, yes, the Germa Memorial.
and then I looked into it, and I was like,
It
oh,
does
actually
look
rather
like
touching.
to be fair, it does look like
kind of
Germa.
off topic, but sort of on topic. There actually is a similar thing in the original Spider-Man game, the 2018 one, where basically I don't think it was a developer, but it was like a fan
Oh, they had a
who
memorial to him.
well, not didn't have a memorial to him, but he proposed to his wife or to his
Oh.
girlfriend at the time, like through the game. So like
That's
basically
awesome.
he asked like, I'm going to like propose to my girlfriend. Can you like put something in the game. So you could go to like one of the theaters, and it was like where it says like what movies are showing. One of the movies that was showing was like, "Will you marry me, Alicia?" or whatever the name was.
Wow.
But
Points.
she broke up with him before the game came out. So
No.
so it ended up not. And so it's still there, but like, and actually, I think they might have changed it post that.
I would.
But I can't remember. But yeah, like
Patch note.
But yeah, but so they definitely do throw in little.
Yeah, it's a...
But I like this one. That's super touching. That's super sweet.
Yeah. Okay, the Spider-Man pose in the picture is
Spider-Man
ridiculous,
pose
but
is
the mosaic
the
on
mosaic
the wall
is very
is
touching.
very good. Yeah,
More game companies should do this.
that's great.
Honor former employees if they pass away during development, more than just a in memory in the credits, because unfortunately nobody really watches the credits of games.
This is true.
I think the only credits I've actually seen are Undertale because it's actually like you
So
play
if
the
you're
credits.
if you're going to do a memorial or a memoriam for a developer that's passed away in your game, don't do it in the credits. Do something like this.
Yeah, put them in the game world.
Put them in the game world, because as people find it and everyone will go and visit. Literally everybody will go visit it.
Jedi Fallen Order had a sort of similar thing where it wasn't a memorial for a developer, but for a developer's dad who
That
passed
works
away.
too. Yeah,
Okay,
just
that's
any
cool.
kind
And they
of
had, like, a
memorial in
little-
your game. Do it in the
At
game,
the
not
top
in the
of
credits.
the Jedi Temple on
Because the
Ilum, they had,
credits,
like, a
nobody
little
watches the credits, so your message will probably just be missed.
memorial for him.
So,
Cool.
Kyle, tell us about quantum computers.
Right. So, this.
Yeah, whoa. Tell us about the TARDIS.
So, now is the time to reveal that I have been a Time Lord this entire time.
He's coming to Disney Plus in November,
I'm
guys.
coming to Disney Plus in November.
Wait, is Doctor Who coming to Disney Plus? Oh.
Disney Plus has the streaming rights, but that's not a topic that we'll discuss here. Anyways,
So anyway,
That's just a film.
film theory. Well, we're gonna get to that later. But so this isn't directly game related, but it will eventually influence the world of gaming. So for those of you who don't know, quantum computers are an interesting, relatively new technology that instead of using transistors, which are can be very small, only a few molecules across in size. Now with some of the smallest ones we can make.
But they're getting. But the thing is, we actually kind of reached a limit.
Yeah, we've reached
We've reached a point where we're like, okay, if we make the transistors any smaller, they don't work. So what's being developed is ways to essentially store data, because the transistors can be off or on, and that's the whole foundation of computing.
the 1
at
and
all.
0.
1 and 0.
The idea with quantum computers is to store the 1 and 0 in the spin of individual atoms,
That's crazy.
which offers the potential for insane leaps forward in computing power.
Yeah.
Just absolutely bonkers. And the problem right now, is that maintaining those spins long enough in order to be useful is very challenging.
They are atoms.
But there's been a recent breakthrough that's pretty cool. A company is called Atom Computing. Very creative name, I know. But they need to be smart, not
Why not
fun.
quantum computing?
Oh, someone's probably already
quantum
taken it.
atom. Okay.
Anyway,
Anyways.
they were the first company to announce a 1,000 plus qubit quantum computer. Now, qubit is a very big unit of processing power. I'm not going to go into the details of just how big. Look it up.
That's a
It's
lot.
huge. 3 at least.
At least
At least 3.
That's crazy. What?
It's actually been more stable than expected at that processing power.
Yeah.
Because we're still facing the issue of just
Keeping it.
keeping the data that we're using and actually having the atoms stay in the state we want them to be long enough to use them, which we're making strides on. So at this point, quantum computers are just still not as reliable as more traditional computers. But the fact that we've been able to break this threshold in computing power and find some ways to increase stability means it's getting closer. So quantum computing could really revolutionize the processing power of any device that needs a microchip.
Someday,
ever.
what are you raising? What?
Yes.
But can it run Doom?
Not
Yeah.
yet.
Probably, actually.
You think it's stable enough to run Doom?
Oh, definitely.
Oh, there you go. Yes.
It could run Doom.
Someday you'll load up your PC with your NVIDIA GTX
Cute.
2070 and slap me like this bad boy can fit so many atoms in it.
QTX.
Yeah, I was about to say the QTX.
The QTX 30,000.
You'll start seeing those memes of QTX off, QTX on.
And it's all the quantum NVIDIA cards. And
Me buying just the most expensive quantum computer to ever exist to play Doom on it.
It's
The
Doom
original-
1993.
The original Doom.
Nah, play
Minecraft.
Sims 3.
Play The Sims 3.
Play Pong.
Undertale.
I'm gonna go play Iron Lung on my new quantum computer.
Max out the NVIDIA shaders in Minecraft. Okay, let's see.
Actually, speaking of Iron Lung, real quick, Markiplier recently released a longer trailer for his Iron Lung movie.
Is it the
which
one where
looks
he's coming
really
out of
cool, where he's coming out of the blood?
The
It's
blood.
like, oh, that's why he got so much of the fake blood in his eyes to go to the hospital for it. But anyway, looking forward to that because that movie looks like it's gonna be pretty cool.
All right,
I'm
let's-
excited.
Let's see. Who wants to? You two have things left. We've got 2 apiece. Well, one. You have 1 left. You want to do yours, or you want to do one of yours?
I'll just do mine real quick.
All right, go. Send it.
Um,
You forget.
Phasmophobia released a Halloween update.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah.
Very, very cool little thing. Basically, in all the maps you can find, or not almost all the maps, you can find a hidden little jack-o'-lantern
Oh, that's great.
that has an ingredient for like a stew.
What?
Oh, so you can just have a stew.
But like, they're it's kind of funny. It's like
Stew.
it's like one of them is called like a parcel of beans or whatever. It's literally just one of the bean bags you use for the cornhole thing.
Well, you know,
But
there are beans.
or like little technicalities like 3 like 2 bear eyes,
Phasmophobia. It's me and the boys at 3 a.m. looking for beans. Sorry,
and
keep
it's
going.
you go to a totem pole and you pull out you can like pull out the
the eyes
bear's
of the
eyes on
bear.
the totem pole.
Interesting.
What happens if you make the stew?
So
You feed it.
you find all the ingredients like the recipe, and then they remade one of the maps, the Maple Lodge campsite map, because it was very old and it had some optimization issues. Or, like even people with powerful computers would just like walk out of the door and instantly like drop 3 frames.
Ooh.
Oh,
Because-
not 3 frames.
3 frames. But yeah.
So they redid it, really optimized it. They also made a lot of changes so that like there's one of the big things in Phasmophobia is line of sight. When the ghost has line of sight of you, depending on the type of ghost it is, most ghosts will speed up over time as they have line of sight.
Yeah.
The old Maple Lodge had a lot, like big long corridors of line of sight, and
Is
so
that the smaller camp? Or
It's
is
the
it-
larger one.
That's the larger camp. Okay. I don't think I ever played on that. But
and so they remade that so there's less line of sight areas, and it's generally a very cool change. And so I think it's only going to be for the Halloween update, but
Oh,
they're
yeah, that makes sense.
in over the one of the campfires. It's
Oh, it's a
green now.
pot and-
There's just a big cauldron, big
Nice.
witch's pot.
Oh man.
Make your
And
stew.
it's bubbling with this green liquid, and you come up and you start throwing stuff in there. But if you throw in the wrong thing, then it stops and it goes away, and you have to like
I wish
restart
it
the
would
level.
blow up.
Ah.
but what happens when you throw in all the right?
So you throw in all the items, and like all these ghosts starts like spewing out of it,
Ooh.
and then like they all fly up and like basically, the death mark from Harry Potter. It's basically that they all
Oh,
fly up and
the-
they form a skull
Death
in the
Eater
sky.
thing, the Dark Mark.
The dark mark.
When they make the skull in the sky. That's cool.
They form this big like red ghostly
And you can
skull in the sky,
eat the
and the
stew?
skull and the sky is just gonna be red for the rest of
that.
the rest of the
Can you
match
drink the stew?
That's
eat the
pretty cool.
stew?
because it goes all the way as the ghost.
Oh,
fly
it
out of
evaporates.
Ah man,
That's pretty cool.
I wanted to know what the red skull tasted like.
And so yeah, it's just fun, and you also get that little thing right there, Halloween 20. I guess that's the old one. It's a witch's pot. But it's a Halloween.
Oh, like you get it
trophy.
in your.
You get a
Trophy.
trophy case
in your
thing.
zone.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta play with you again.
Yeah, we should play.
Gotta do
The
this.
stew
Yeah.
turns the freaking sky red.
It's sky.
It's turning the
Freaking
And then
sky.
I kind of added this at the very last second
Yeah, we don't
because I'll just do a quick mention of it. The Heartsteel, the League of Legends boy band thing.
Oh yeah.
That's
I
right.
sorry,
that's right.
I added it just now, so
Wow.
we don't have a thing for
Out
it.
here.
I just totally forgot about it because, in my personal opinion, I didn't like it that much.
Oh.
It's not bad. I'm just not a fan of the music video
Oh.
that was with it because it just felt like so uncoordinated in the sense like
Really?
in the KDA or the True Damage music videos, they follow a general like music video style.
Oh, and that one, it just kind of feels a little all over the place.
This one, it feels like they're trying to tell a story of like a heist mixed with like it's actually them making a music video, but like it's all behind the scenes at the same time.
Oh, it's hard to follow.
I have they all of a sudden, like, for no reason, they're in a coliseum riding a chariot being pulled by motorcycles. Like,
As you do.
it's
kind of based, but yeah.
it's completely directionless, I feel, and doesn't like. It's so.
Well, the Overwatch K-pop crossover is pretty good. The music video is pretty good.
Yeah,
came
well,
out
the Fortnite K-pop. I'm just kidding.
Well, don't worry, it's coming.
It probably will.
It's coming.
Yeah, the actual music itself is pretty good.
The music video is kind of just like
the music video. I just cannot wrap my head around because there's no direction. It's just stuff happening.
Just stuff
They
happening.
should have asked for advice from One Direction.
Ah, I
And
hadn't
there would only
considered
be
that
one
one.
direction.
Yeah.
All right, Court, tell us about your final thing, Allan Wake 2.
Alan Wake 2 is a game that I have not played, nor have I played Alan Wake 1, but I have played Control, which is made by the same people, Remedy.
Okay,
And
is that your
and
connection?
no, and they take place in an interconnected universe.
Okay,
so
okay.
Alan Wake 1.
I thought you were about to be like, see, on just the line of, I've never played Skyrim, but I played Starfield, and they're made by the same people.
No. So, Alan Wake 1 was a game that came out long before time had a name, like a long time ago.
Okay.
Okay.
And they remastered it relatively recently, but it's kind of like it's a very slow-paced, like, suspense horror kind of game, right? And it's very trippy. It's about like this guy, from what I understand, I've done a little bit of research into it, but not a ton, but who can basically like influence the real world with his writing. So like, he's an author,
so it's
and
called,
then he really,
so it's Death Note.
well, kind of, but like he can like influence things with his writing, like influence events and stuff with
Wait,
his
didn't
writing.
we see a movie
I was
trailer
about to
for
say,
that at FNAF?
there's the movie that's about to come out, Argyle, where there's this like
Oh, yeah.
The plot
spy
of that
novel
movie.
writer,
Right.
and everything she writes comes true.
And it's a little more like trippy and like kind of like
Paranormal, like really
yeah,
kind of, okay.
like,
Yeah.
but the original one is. But then anyway, and then they came out with, and it kind of ends on a cliffhanger, and then they came out with a game, Control, which I'm sure you guys have heard of. That's the one where you play as the gal and she has the Force and a cool gun that transforms into different things.
Vaguely.
Very fun game, very fun. I
But
recommend.
now, a direct
But
sequel.
they made hints in Control that it took place in the same like continuity, like the same connected universe as Alan Wake, and then they dropped a DLC for Control, that like straight up like directly connected them, like had Alan Wake in it, and like was like a direct tie-in that set up the story that tied in the story of Alan Wake 1 to what would now, then they almost immediately after announced that Alan Wake 2 was coming out, and it just did like yesterday or something. And anyway, I haven't played it, but I've heard that it's very good. I've heard that it's a very like, if you're looking for a spooky thriller game to play for Halloween, the Alan Wake 2 is the one to go with.
FBI.
It's kind of a, it's kind of from what it sounds like, it's kind of a mix between Control, Resident Evil, and like
It
you know,
does
some
give
other
it does give a lot of
spooky-
Resident Evil
Oh
vibes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Getting some of that.
But I
from
mean, I don't know. I mean, I definitely would not mind playing it at some point because I've really liked Control, and Remedy is definitely one of those game studios that really put their heart and soul into their work, you know. And so
Well,
like,
there you go.
I just like how he said like ancient or whatever. The Alan Wake 1 came out in 2010.
Yeah, before time had a name. 2010. Back during the time of the Wii.
yeah. But
Oh, that was a good time. I like the Wii.
I know, it's just like 2010, but it's not that long ago.
and they added Alan Wake skin into Fortnite, so
Oh gosh.
Of
had to
course.
tie that into
Okay.
Fortnite somehow.
There
But
we go. There we go.
Wait,
Or
that's another thing. They added 3 new Halloween themed skins to Fortnite that are crossovers.
3? Which
Well, they
ones?
added a ton of
What did
like
we get?
not
What'd you
crossover
get?
ones, but 3 crossover ones. Alan Wake, Michael Myers, and Jack Skellington,
Hey,
Skellington.
Jack
which
Skellington.
has been selling like hotcakes.
Yeah, Jack
no
Skellington.
surprise there.
Everyone's been buying Jack Skellington. Anyway, just
one
a
of my
fun
Fortnite
little-
games I fought against a Jack Skellington for like 5 minutes straight. This dude was using the jumping grenades or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And he was jumping like from one side to the other, and I had the broom, and I was just chasing after him. He would like jump, and I would go, "Get back here!"
What you should have done is get an Oogie Boogie skin and then just see those two going across.
The only skin I have is the green like army man.
Yeah, Ben jumped on for the first time with us, and he was just the regular default skin, and it hurt my eyes and my soul, and so I bought him a.
You
Bought him a skin.
I had some extra V-Bucks, yeah, and it was a pretty cheap skin. It was only like 800 V-Bucks. So.
I don't know anything about the Fortnite like exchange.
That's
you know.
hilarious.
Like roughly
though.
$6 probably. I had extra V-Bucks.
Anyways,
Anyway,
the second largest news topic here. It seems like every week some other game company is doing its hardest to just crush their public image. Guess whose turn it is this time?
couldn't
Nintendo.
possibly be Nintendo. Aw.
It's a me.
Yeah,
Nintendo.
It's a me, Nintendo.
Corporate greed.
It is.
That's the sound I make when I jump into my yacht.
So Nintendo, you know, for its general public, you know, with its games, it's typically known as pretty good for its like general fan base with its games. However, as soon as you cross into the esports community, I don't think there's a single game company that everyone like the esports community hates more than Nintendo. Like, yeah, Blizzard has done some funky things, you know, Riot's done some things, but no one hates their esports community more than Nintendo.
Yeah, Nintendo actively fights against esports in every conceivable way.
So it's always Nintendo has always caused a problem, especially
Except for
Smash.
Splatoon for some reason.
Yeah, so it's like the
Well,
Smash
that's because
community.
they made it to be that. And they're like, what if we just funneled all of our esports into Splatoon? And everyone was like,
So, like,
Smash
the,
Bros.
The Smash
And yet-
community has always had a really more hate than love relationship with Nintendo. And
Yeah.
this week, not just for Smash, for all of their games, it got
got real
even
bad.
worse.
All right,
So
yeah.
this started in Japan. The news first came in Japan, then in Europe, and then in the USA.
Okay.
So
what happened?
they put out new tournament guidelines that
Uh-oh.
people have to follow if they want to hold a tournament of any Nintendo game. That have several guidelines. The first of which being that if you hold a tournament, and it's in person, it's LAN, you can have no more than 200 participants. Unless you like split it into blocks over several days. But no more than 200 in-person participants per day if it's in person, and if it's online, no more than 300. That's the first one.
This isn't COVID, guys. What's
And then if you are charging an entry fee for the participants, it can be no more than $20 per person. And these entry fees from the participants cannot be used for anything other than covering the costs of the tournament and prize pools.
So they're trying to prevent
I
it from
thought
being
it couldn't
profitable.
be used for prize pools.
No, it can, the entry fee for participants can be. If you charge an entry fee for spectators, it can be no more than $15 per person, and those can only be used for the tournament fees, covering the
So
tournament.
that can't be for the prize
That
pool.
can't be for the prize pool. And if you're giving out prizes for your tournaments over the course of a year, you cannot give out more than $10,000 in prize money. Total prize money, not just like to one. Total prize money over the course of a year, one organizer cannot give out more than 10K.
They're really trying to make it monetarily
And so, and
unfeasible.
like in one tournament, you cannot give out more than $5,000. No, like prize can be more than $5,000. So that's fun. Here's another one. When hosting a community tournament, organizers may not receive goods, services, monies from a third party as sponsors. So, no more sponsored tournaments.
That's the one
guys.
that killed me. Was like that. I mean, that.
No more sponsored tournaments.
cannot
You also
have
cannot
sponsors.
sell food or drink at your tournaments.
you can have concessions.
You also can't use anything other than first-party Nintendo peripherals. So those like nice disability controllers, sorry, gotta go, bye. You also can only use legally obtained copies and unmodified copies of games. So if you want to play a Melee tournament, guess you gotta bring your GameCube or Wii and all of your physical disc copies of Melee, or Brawl, or Smash 4, or bring your N64 and get the cartridge for Smash 64.
Speaking of, I actually did just recently acquire a disc copy of Brawl.
So if anyone's looking to do a Brawl
But-
tournament, court your guy.
Hit them up.
So me
your
and my brother
Wii's
can play
out.
Subspace. But anyway, keep going.
So essentially, like, Smash Ultimate's like the only realistic one you can hold a tournament for, because who has like a dozen copies of Melee lying around with a dozen GameCubes?
Right.
Probably someone, but not many people.
But like you
Yeah.
can't use any of like your cool third-party controllers.
Well,
you only can use Nintendo controllers.
And it completely makes it so that you can't do any sort of Melee
Project
online.
and like Project M,
Project
dead.
M,
You can't
dead.
do any more Project M tournaments.
But like a lot of times, like when people wanted to do online
you can't
Melee
do
tournaments,
online
they
Melee.
would do it through Slippy, like that.
Yeah,
Slippy
can't do
thing.
online
that.
Melee.
It's
You
not
can
allowed
only
anymore.
do online tournaments using Nintendo stuff, which means you can only do online Ultimate.
Yeah.
Now. So basically, online Melee tournament, yeah, that's never happening.
Yeah.
That's dead.
I
That's
wouldn't say
completely
never.
dead.
It's
Well,
just that people are going to try to keep it
we'll
under wraps.
get to that. Something else is that if you hold a tournament, it cannot include any Nintendo IPs, characters, names, even shortened in the tournament name. You can say the game that's being played in the description, but the name. So Smash Con, get ready for Con, guys. Get ready for Con. Oh boy, I can't wait for next year's Con.
Con.
I can't wait for Con. So yeah, you literally, and like, they require you to like put on your website and everything that it's not officially sponsored by Nintendo. You have to link to these regulations and say that you're following these regulations. You literally have to link to it officially. Link.
My goodness.
It's so bad. And then it also talks about how, like, you know, you can't have, you know, any of the sponsors, but then this is this is what really gets it, is that throughout the entire regulations, multiple times, Nintendo states, if Nintendo finds any reason, Nintendo has the sole discretion to shut down any tournament that they deem necessary. So essentially, Nintendo says, you know, these regulations, yeah, they actually don't matter. We can just shut you down for any reason.
Yeah. Basically, they said you could be following all of these regulations to the letter.
And you can be looking at the camera wrong, and we will shut
Yeah.
down
If
your
you don't, if we don't like your hairstyle,
we will shut
we
down
reserve
your
the
tournament.
right to just nuke your entire tournament. Like.
And you cannot hold any tournament for profit.
Yep.
So they literally will require you to make public all of your expense reports for the tournament to ensure that you didn't make any money, and any money that they like are
Left
like
over.
they're all like, you have to make sure you know the exact number of spectators that come so you can offset the cost perfectly, and any extra money you have for spectator fees has to be refunded to the spectators.
It's just so weird because like it's not like Nintendo benefits much from
No,
these
they
rules
don't.
at
They
all.
don't benefit at all.
Oh.
Like it's not like they're saying pay us to use our game. Like
No, yeah, none of this
Pay-
money
pay
is
us-
going
pay
to Nintendo.
pay us extra money.
Which is why it's so weird, because it's not even like corporate greed.
It's
no,
not
like, they're
corporate
not
greed.
getting it.
It's just
They're
like
just being obstinate.
it's just
They're just-
corporate.
Like
Sabotage.
Well, what it really is we all know how Nintendo is so ridiculously
protective.
overprotective of their IP, and it's that. It's
They're
corporate
control freaks.
overprotectiveness of their IP.
Only Nintendo.
Yeah,
Literally
and-
no other company's
and
doing
like
this.
the guy who made Smash Bros didn't want it to become
Yeah, Miyamoto did not,
competitive,
yeah.
which I think is
Sakurai.
part of the which I think is a big part of the problem is they're just so focused on
Party game, family first.
that like
yeah.
initial vision that when it did become popular with the competitive scene, they've been trying to kill it because they're like, it's ruining what made Smash great, but it's not. Smash is still fine for playing
Yeah.
casually.
Well, that's the nice thing about Smash, is that it can be played both ways.
Both ways,
Yeah.
and it doesn't feel any
Nintendo
less good
doesn't
or
like the
valid.
other way.
Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah.
And they're also just like any tournaments that require you to have to subscribe or follow something cannot be held. So like subscriber only tournaments for streamers or for Discord servers do not follow these guidelines because it requires somebody to subscribe to be a part of the tournament. And then what's really funny, and this directly relates to BYU because they had like a Q&A at the bottom, and they say, can schools, clubs, or neighborhood associations host community tournaments under these guidelines? School clubs are organizations. However, they may conduct competitions without requiring a license as long as they meet the following two conditions. Participation in the tournament will not be open to the public. Participants must be limited to the members of the school club. And
Okay, so we can't get new members of the club in through holding Smash
You
Bros.
cannot.
Ah.
So you cannot hold a Smash tournament officially on campus and say, hey, if you want to be a part of the Smash Club, hey, join this tournament. You cannot have the club open to the public. And then less related to BYU, because BYU technically can't do this anyways. The game can be a standalone head-to-head competition between up to 2 schools, but may not involve 3 or more schools, and will not serve for ranking in later tournaments. That doesn't technically apply to BYU because technically we can't do that. But
Don't have the esports.
for
official
information,
board.
so if schools try and hold like an inter-college tournament, it can only have 2 schools.
I would even maybe understand this a little bit if Nintendo was like, but the reason why we're putting these heavy restrictions is because we want to do our own series of tournaments that we're. But
Nintendo would
but
rather
no,
roll
like,
over and die than hold. Their
But
own
like
first
that,
party
but they're not
tournaments.
gonna do that. Like, and so it's like, why if they're not planning on doing tournaments, why actively limit everyone else from doing tournaments?
Yep, and then
just
so
doesn't
it's
make any
like
sense.
for larger tournament organizers who want to do stuff outside, who have more than 200 or 300, want to have sponsors, you can file for a license from Nintendo, which Nintendo then has sole discretion to accept or decline your.
Which, if you have the license, you can.
Yeah, if you have
sponsors and
if you have a license, then you are officially licensed by Nintendo, and then at that point, Nintendo is. I don't know if they're like sponsoring the event, but it's like Nintendo recognizes it as an official Smash tournament, and then at that point, it's not these guidelines. So these are like community tournaments that don't have licenses.
That's the.
And what's so funny is at some point people are like, so if we have to follow this and we can't get a license, what are we supposed to do? And Nintendo's like, there is no way at the current present to hold tournaments without a license. We hope you understand. They literally hit you with the damn, that's
Maybe this is a bit of corporate because like, people are going to eventually start doing it, and then Nintendo's going to come in with these cease and desist lawsuits.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you're gonna, for whatever reason, I think the way that people will get around this is that they will hold these tournaments and not stream it or publicize it. Because if you don't stream it and you don't publicize it online, Nintendo's not gonna know.
There's
But
just
then
gonna
how
be
will the
so
people
many.
know?
Well, so that's the thing. It's like you have to
Private
then you have
chats
to
and
do it
stuff.
private chats and word of mouth.
Yeah.
If you hold a tournament, for instance, if the Smash Club on campus wants to hold a tournament, and they only share that it's doing it through flyers on campus and through word of mouth, Nintendo wouldn't find out. Don't do that. I am not going to say do that because that's going against terms of service. I'm just saying hypothetically, that would be how people would get away with it. Is you do solely word of mouth and try and keep it offline as much as possible.
And it's
got,
likely
like,
that we'll see a ton of
speakeasies.
that. Yeah.
because as soon as because as soon as you stream it, it's gonna get found.
Yeah.
It's gonna get found.
It's
It's
gonna
gonna
get
get
found.
flagged.
You're gonna get the
because
cease
you
and
already
desist.
know Nintendo is gonna require Twitch and stuff to have like content ID and be like, that's a Smash tournament. We need to look at it. Oh, they're not following the rules, and they'll hit you with a cease and desist.
You know what's probably going to happen is they might even hit a few people with cease and desists who aren't even doing tournaments. They just like get a little crazy with the ban hammer, or see someone just streaming their own play on
Oh, you know
on
that
online
people,
multiplayer
like
for
people
Smash
like
Bros.
Hungrybox and the big names in the Smash community are gonna be watched carefully.
Oh yeah.
Who were the ones holding Smash tournaments prior, because Nintendo's gonna suspect that they're going to try and skirt the rules, and like how close can they get to the rules without crossing, and then they'll do one thing. But yeah, like basically the big and another thing is like you can't like for the participants of it, you cannot supply them with any like participation award. Like you can't give them money for participating. You cannot supply them with any goods. You can't fly out casters. You can't fly out participants. You literally can't supply anything.
It's just like
And you already know that a Smash tournament will be like, oh, you don't have to bring your controllers. We'll supply them. Nintendo will be like, you're giving them monetary goods. Ban.
It's so true. And one of the saddest things about this is there's no direct way for the fan base to fight back on this. There's no monetization scheme that we can boycott.
No, you literally have to
there's-
boycott the game.
Yeah,
And
which
that
has already
that's
been
not-
sold.
You can't. It's not
like,
gonna happen.
And like, what are we gonna try and stage a boycott on a different Nintendo game like Mario Bros. Wonder? I don't think that's gonna happen.
No, it's not gonna happen.
I don't. It's like there's a petition is really the only recourse.
Well, I mean, because really the thing is again, like it's not like this is like corporate greed.
No.
This is literally the corporate
They're trying
equivalent
to-
of
their definition of protecting the IP.
of like a little kid who has like their favorite doll, and they're just like holding it really close and being like, "You can't play with my doll." Like,
And as
you can't-
unreasonable it is,
like,
it's their doll.
yeah, it's like
Well,
it's like
it's not even so much that as like if I'm the kid, right, and I see someone else with the same doll, I'm gonna police the way that they're using it because it's a copy they personally possess.
Well,
but
it's more that it's
my
it's,
idea.
it's the IP.
It's
I
the
guess,
IP.
yeah.
It's like the owner of the doll.
The doll is the IP.
And
yeah.
it's like because it's like technically it's like all you can do is boycott. Like you can't go
yeah,
to
like
court with Nintendo over
It
that.
is
You
their
can't sue.
IP.
And
Like
the bigger problem is like, yeah, you can stage a boycott, but this is only part of the Smash community. People who have Smash and only play with their friends aren't affected by this. They're like, why would I boycott Smash? I love Smash. This doesn't affect me.
plus, even if we boycott Smash, it's already been sold. Like
it's like there is
Most
literally
people
nothing that you can
already
do.
have their copy.
The only thing that people can do is big tournament organizers try and find their way to black market, to literally have Smash Bros. Speakeasies and have black market Smash Bros. Tournaments and force Nintendo to be like, we can't police all of this. Like, you literally have to just mass produce illegal Smash tournaments to make Nintendo be like, oh crap, we can't police it.
And that's going to create an entire mess. And
but then Nintendo can sue those people. Like, there's
and then they can sue them, and then it's
you
just
literally cannot win.
It's not very safe for people trying to pull it off. Not that
like
stop
the Smash
everybody,
community. I'm sorry, it's kind of Jover. Like it's like.
It's
Jover.
It's so Jover.
Unless the only way I could see it continuing is if Nintendo is relatively liberal with.
They won't be. They never have been.
With their
the licenses.
With the licenses.
But they weren't. They
they
never
won't.
have
They've
been.
never been.
The only way, and this is something I saw, the only way you can get around it, and people have already been doing this, is you take Smash and you just alter it to the point that it's not Smash anymore.
So guys, I've got this great game called Brawlhalla.
Well, no, that doesn't work. No, so you like take Smash as the game, and you go in and
just
alter the
mod
code
it to oblivion.
and you mod it to the point where it's not Smash anymore. And then what is Nintendo gonna do? Like, oh, that's our IP. Like, no, it's not. This is our personal.
No, this is
game.
Dario and Luigi.
Like,
This is Zelda.
This guy here is Zelda, and this girl here is Link. What are you talking about?
Like, if there was a way that the big Smash community people could try and force Nintendo's hand, it would be that.
It probably would be just super heavily, just like basically recreate Smash.
Recreate Smash
with
not quite
other
from the ground
things.
up, but with to a point where Nintendo
that would be hilarious if all the big like Smash like
made their own
tournaments
Smash games?
basically all got
Booper
together
Bash Bros.
and then just like made this ultra modded version of Smash that's like uses none of Nintendo's IPs and like
because like Nintendo.
What was the Warner Brothers fighting game
Well, that was
what was that? Infinite
Multiverses.
Multiverses.
That
yeah.
one flopped. Like the problem is, it's like you can't go to another game because there's not really another game that works.
Is established.
So it's like you literally have to take, because Nintendo can only claim IP over so much of Smash. Like the button combos and the moves doing a certain way, like they can only do it so much.
Yeah.
Like if you change the animation, but it does the same amount of damage, Nintendo can't be like, oh, that's our IP. It's like, no, that's just numbers. Like,
but I mean it still would be Nintendo's game.
But if you change enough, you change the animations, you change the skins, change the names, change everything about it, and it's just like you alter everything that Nintendo can claim as an IP. They can't claim. They can't claim numbers that a punch does this amount. Nintendo can't claim that.
Yeah, but like the game itself would still be Smash Bros.
Yeah, you'd have to change it enough that it's not Smash. But you like use
would-
the underlying
take a lot of
concepts
work.
that are basically just like.
This reminds me of back a while when a lot of the public Minecraft servers like Hypixel and others,
when they hit with the community guidelines.
Exactly, got hit with the community guidelines that totally just ruined their business model. And so they started developing their own game to give the same mini games to their player base. Like, they're literally like, well, we can't do it in Minecraft, so we're just going to develop it ourselves as a standalone game.
yeah,
And
the
it was
Smash
called Roblox.
So Smash community, you have two options: either make your own game or
have a Smash Underworld
do like they
and
did
risk
during
getting
the
sued.
Prohibition era.
And risk the sue and
risk the
Banhammer.
sue.
Smash
Ban
Bros.
Hammer.
Speakeasies.
That's, I don't know.
I didn't
those
have
both
that on
do
my
not
societal
sound-
bingo card in 2023, but here
No.
we are.
This is
The Smash Bros. Speakeasies.
And again, it's not like this is for like the big tournaments.
This
Like,
is the big
if
tournaments.
you throw together a tournament
fine.
with your buddies, like
It doesn't
Nintendo's not gonna
They're
show
probably
up
not
to
gonna
your
care.
door and,
Like,
and
oh,
kill
there's-
you.
Like your
But,
average,
like-
like speaking directly to the Smash Club, every tournament that you hold on campus is fine because it can't get sponsored because BYU wouldn't let it get sponsored. So
Yeah.
Nintendo's not going to come after me because you have bigger problems.
Yeah, but it's like this is for like the
This is
big
for people like
Hungry
Hungry
Box,
Box,
like the
Ludwig,
big-
all the ones who have made.
But that's
big.
kind of I mean that's kind of their whole thing. Like, and
That
that's
really
there
is.
is a huge community around it, and
Yeah.
Nintendo's basically just saying
no.
nuh-uh
No.
to this whole community.
Really? It's like, I
Rick, you
kind
mean
of
no.
wish that like the Nintendo
No.
Directs would be in person, just so we could get a huge amount of Smash Bros. Players to just boo them right off the
Oh,
stage.
like they-
just start chanting "Free Smash Bros."
Yeah.
You know.
Boo, just boo him off. But see
I don't think it would.
I
Eventually
could see that
work.
potentially happening at the Game Awards because Nintendo always has a presence at the Game
Yo,
Awards.
oh, yeah, but I
Just
don't
a
know that
mass
there's going to be
staged
enough, a
protest
big
at the
enough
Game
Smash
Awards.
presence there.
But
to
if there, I
boo
mean,
'em.
if enough Smash
Nin-
fans show up,
But then
That'd be
you'd
cool.
But, like, what are you gonna boo when Tears of the Kingdom wins Game of the Year? You're gonna boo Nintendo?
Yeah, you wouldn't boo Tears
That's
of the
the
Kingdom.
problem. Is that Smash as
feel
a
like
game
they-
is not going to have a presence at Game Awards.
I feel like they
Yeah.
would need to either like figure out a way to upstage the event, like that one kid from last year, or have something.
I'd like to thank my president.
Yeah, that guy. Or they'd like have to like plan out some sort of upstaging where like they rush the stage with some sign that's like, you know, free
But that's
Smash
not gonna
Bros.
happen.
Or they'd have to get the event organizers, which is equally unlikely.
Yeah, let's get Jeff. You know,
Like,
Jeff.
in on
There's
it.
no way Jeff's
not
gonna
going to,
Because
like,
the event organizers are not going to
literally
risk
nothing.
getting
there's-
representatives
they're not
outside.
the Smash organizers have very little power here.
Yeah.
Because they don't have enough of
have
the
no
market share,
power
quote unquote, to like
here.
force Nintendo's hand in any
Yeah.
way, shape, or form.
So it seems like we all have to migrate to Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2.
Yay!
Or go into this find Super Smash Flash.
Super Smash Flash.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Anyways, that Nintendo
Rivals of
stop it.
Aether, we can just recreate
Can
since
we
there's a custom
can we
character
please
created.
go a week without a corporation like ruining their public image, please?
Probably not. So, anyone want to place bets on what it is next
Who's
week?
next week? Place your bets. Who's next?
let's put up a board.
I mean, I feel like there's a few that are just like free spaces on the bingo card, like EA and you know. Like,
EA hasn't been making
EA
big
hasn't been
issues
really
a lot
doing
That's
recently.
fair. Yeah,
They've been
EA's
kind of
kind of
quiet.
No
been
news from EA is good news.
Oh well, I guess there was the whole Titanfall 3 debacle thing,
Yeah, me a little.
like where they were teasing all this
Oh,
this
and
stuff
then
in
didn't have
Apex
it.
and Titanfall and people like the Titanfall 2 community was like, oh my gosh, like they're finally gonna announce Titanfall 3. It's finally time,
Oh,
boyos.
well, no,
it's
but
finally
see, that's
time.
them. That
and
was
then
the Titanfall
well, but like
community
they
getting
were
their hopes
they
up.
were doing a bunch of teases, and then they were like, actually, it's an anniversary event
Yeah, so
in
it's like
Titanfall 2, and they were
I
like,
don't know if they're because it's like the only company that has stuff coming up that could is Blizzard because BlizzCon's next week, but Blizzard's owned by Microsoft now, and
If they still manage to mess up that bad
I don't
after
know how
being
you mess up
acquired,
BlizzCon.
then
So yeah, I hopefully next week
maybe we'll have a break.
hopefully we'll have a break, but
maybe.
that was only the second largest piece of news this week because guess what came out on
Friday.
yesterday, but on Friday, Five Nights at Freddy's.
Five Nights at Freddy's.
So Freddy
So-
Fazbear.
Is that the Freddy
wanna
from
stay?
What we will do is we're gonna try and no spoilers here.
Yeah, all four of us have seen the movie.
All four of us have seen it. We'll do no spoilers, and then we will make it very obvious when we're actually going to talk about the movie in depth. So, no spoiler like reactions. How is the movie?
I had a good time. Honestly, I enjoyed myself.
time?
Yeah.
It was okay.
Yeah. It wasn't like I wouldn't call it a masterpiece.
Yeah, was it a cinematic
it's-
masterpiece? No, but
Yeah, was it like a technically good movie? Not really. The writing was.
But for a
eh.
FNAF movie,
But like
it was-
as a fun experience, yeah.
well,
Yeah,
and
I
fun
feel
fact that it has now been it had the highest grossing opening day for a video game movie, and it is
Even
on pace,
over Super Mario Bros.
and it is on pace to have I think it is either has or is on pace to have the best Halloween opening weekend ever.
Oh, good job. Hey,
and
Scott,
like
crap.
it is,
Congratulations.
And I think
Scott Cotham.
it
Different
could
Scott.
become the best performing horror movie of all time.
Wow.
which would be awesome, honestly.
So
would
keep it
crack
up,
me up
FNAF.
so much.
Like I went in with no expectations, and I went in
really-
literally only having played parts of the first game and knowing only like some of the, like I wouldn't say surface level lore, but like I knew some of the lore, and I walked out like having understood basically everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I walked in with barely having played any of the games, but having watched pretty much all of Matt Pat's videos about the lore.
Uh-huh.
And there were just a lot of cool moments where you're
there
like,
were a lot of cool moments.
like there's a lot of those like Leo DiCaprio
Yeah, Leonardo
pointing at
DiCaprio
the
pointing
at the
screen
screen.
moments, you
We got
know.
lots of those.
Where like they made some like there was some like marketing thing that they did before the movie came out that was basically like, we're making this movie for the fans. And you hear companies say that all the time, and then it's like,
And then
no,
it's
you're
not.
But like
This one
movie was
legitimately-
Genuinely
straight up
was.
because
made
there's like
for the fans.
there's two
Like,
ways that it goes. Either it's like an over obvious pandering, which Mario kind of felt like just pro
Mario,
character
Star Wars.
I liked Mario.
Well,
though.
I
mean,
feel like
I feel like Mario still pulled it
I
off.
think
but-
FNAF pulled it off better.
You think
Mario,
so?
Star Wars, and Marvel.
I think FNAF pulled
Really
off
fall
the-
into
I mean,
those
I think
You got a
the,
point.
the
Fan
Super Mario
service.
Bros. Movie is an infinity better movie than the FNAF.
I think the
movie.
Mario story was worse.
Really?
I thought the FNAF story was good.
Hot takes by
Yeah, I
takes
think
by-
hot take.
hot
I
takes
like the
by
FNAF
Aiden.
story better than Mario.
I think I would have enjoyed the FNAF story a lot more had I not known anything about the actual lore of Five Nights at Freddy's.
that's
Really?
fair.
I felt like there were
But
a
I
few
feel like
moments
you
where I
would
would
have
have been a lot
gotten
more
lost.
confused.
Yeah.
Because you see that in the critic review, because when it debuted for the critics, it was a 33 on Rotten, and all of them like, oh, it's so slow, all this, and then as soon as the audience sees like 90%, because it's like the critics don't like. This is one of
critics
those,
don't play
if you
games.
literally don't know anything about Five Nights at Freddy's and you see this movie, it's not going to be very good.
I feel like it could still be enjoyed as sort of a lighter horror
Yeah.
movie. But at the same time,
I don't think
you're
you get to
going
see-
to
yeah.
get the full experience
You get
if
the
you at
full
least
experience.
have a
If you at least have a
surface level
surface
understanding.
If you literally just
of
watch the
FNAF.
game theory videos, you can
Yeah.
enjoy
You watch
this movie.
or
infinitely
watch
more.
like a single YouTuber do a let's play of the first 2 games.
Yeah, and I felt
Mostly
like
just the first game.
what was cool about this movie though is that like they didn't. Like they changed some stuff about like.
Oh,
the
yeah,
lore
it's
and-
not a
and
one-to-one to
It
the
wasn't a
lore.
one to
Yeah, it
one.
wasn't
I
a
thought it was a
1-to-1.
one-to-one for the better. I like some of the scenes that they had in there
Yeah.
where it's
Yeah.
like, because like going into it, so a lot of us thought, oh, is this just gonna be like the security guard is gonna go 5 nights in a row? Is it just a bunch of jump scares? But no, it was like
No.
actually like.
No, it's got a whole story
Like they
to
didn't
it.
even have the
whole-
blast doors from the
Like,
first game
no.
in the office. It was just a regular
it
door.
was a very well like they made it well around the game.
Honestly, I feel like this is they had the right philosophy in adapting it from the game to the film, where most of the core ideas were there. Like, sure, you're not trying to conserve battery power by keeping the doors open that use battery to
You
keep
have
it
to
shut.
flip the power to
but
fix
you have to
things.
flip the power, and it's still kind of shaky as is in the building, which kind of keeps that same idea, the vulnerability of the lights could go out at any minute, without needing to explain for something that's a lot more real life based, like a live action film,
it was-
why the doors are the way they are. You know, that's just one example.
I mean, obviously, the character of Mike Schmidt in the first game
Yeah, you don't know.
is not a character. I mean, he
Yeah.
is just a stand
But in this movie,
He
he
is
is
just
a
like,
character.
Oh.
Mike Schmidt is just a camera. in
He's
the
a
first
camera.
game.
Pretty
like-
much.
and a paycheck.
And a
and
paycheck.
a paycheck. But it's like they actually do a very good job of making these characters and
Josh did
giving
a
it
really
story.
good job.
Yeah.
I thought
Honestly,
that Josh did a very
He
good
did a
job.
great
Josh
job
Hutcherson.
playing. Yeah, I was wondering because I've seen Josh Hutcherson in other movies.
I
like-
haven't seen him since Hunger Games.
Yeah, he's Hunger Games, Zathura, and
When I saw his name attached to this
You know,
movie, I went,
Bridge to
"That's not a
Terabithia.
name
Bridge to
I've
Terabithia.
seen in
Yeah.
ages."
and
Yeah.
it's like, but none of those movies are even close to this. But then when you watch him in there, he pulls it off. I think.
He
I
does
think
a
he did
very
a good
good
job.
job.
He was one of the better actors in the entire film. I would say.
He did a good. Lillard didn't have a lot to work with. Lillard didn't have a lot to work with. I feel like his character was kind of. But then the actor who played I guess,
Vanessa.
is she in trailer?
Yeah, she's
Okay, yeah. Vanessa did a pretty good job, and then his sister
she was
good.
all right.
The sister was really good too, though.
The sister was really good. Vanessa, I was like kind of middling on, to be
Well,
completely
Vanessa,
honest.
I feel like the actor for Vanessa did a very good job.
The character is kind of
the
interesting.
character had some was a little undercooked.
But I think that
But-
that Mike and that the sister Abby
Abby,
were they were very well done.
yeah,
Yes,
the character
definitely.
of Mike was
The
very
character of
well
Mike
fleshed
was
Those
out.
very
two
well
were a
fleshed
very
out.
strong core.
I really liked the motivations that they gave, and like they gave this like the movie meaning
and
Yeah.
the flaws that
and the
each of the
flaws
characters
that each
had,
of the characters had.
which was honestly.
Because like
like,
coming into this
quite
movie, you're
interesting.
just like, how are you gonna make this into an actual like story?
And how are
Yeah.
you going to give Mike a
And how are you
personality?
gonna give Mike a person?
Right.
And they did a very good
I mean,
job of writing.
you
it.
definitely would not have gone into the Five Nights at Freddy's movie expecting there to be like
character development.
characters and like, but there was, and there still was enough time for a decent amount of
of the good old Freddy style horror.
of the animatronics freaking
Oh yeah,
killing
every
people.
time you
Every
hear
time-
Foxy
every time
do the
you hear
dum
Fox,
dum 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 dum, he's
Yeah.
like,
It was so good. Okay, anything more the kind of surface level
I
general?
feel like on a surface level, I would say, and I know that I've learned recently that I'm actually a bit of a snob for this. I didn't realize this until like maybe earlier this year. The dialogue does get pretty weak from
It does.
time to time.
The dialogue.
it does.
Which is something.
But that's
that,
kind of a Blumhouse kind of does that. Like even when you watch like
It's kind of an industry-wide issue right now at the moment, to be
it
honest.
is,
It
but,
has
but
been.
especially in like horror movies, like when you watch a horror, there aren't very many horror movies in the last 10 years where you're like, oh man, that dialogue, oh, it was so good. You like watch it because it's a horror movie, not because of the dialogue.
That's fair, and I've heard so many tropes that like if you really look at the story or other like acting in horror movies, it tends to be really bad, and it's just the scary parts that you're there
in this
for.
case, it was just the dialogue.
It was
that
just
really
the dialogue
was like,
that was,
okay.
and it's like it wasn't even all the time.
No,
it was
no,
just there were
it's
several
super
moments
bits.
throughout where I'm like, okay, those lines
Let's see,
needed
like,
to be rewritten.
I feel like there's one y'all have to know of. Like, I don't think this is a spoiler very much, but there's a scene where Mike Schmidt is hugging his little sister, and he's like, "I'm so sorry, I've been an idiot." But they're in like a kind of stressful situation, and she goes, "Thank you, Mike, but we should leave."
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
just,
yeah,
just
that
like
one,
that.
I
Everyone
thought
in
that
the
was
theater just kind of
hilarious
chuckled.
actually because she was so real about it. She's like, "Thanks, Mike,
I
but
do think
also
that
let's
I do
get the
think
beep
that I
outta
do think
here."
that line kind of works with how Abby's character is though.
Yeah.
It did work
Because
with
she was a very in the moment and really didn't get like flustered
chills
by
for
anything.
She's quite a
until
precocious
towards the end.
child.
But it's like the dialogue was kind of weak,
Yeah.
but it's like I didn't feel like the story was actually pretty good for a horror movie.
It didn't take away from the story too badly. It just had a few moments where I was like, could have been better, but overall,
I also think
it wasn't terrible.
In general, the movie could have stood to be a little bit scarier.
Oh yeah,
For a Five Nights at Freddy's movie.
For a horror movie, it is very light on the horror.
Yeah, it is. I mean, there is definitely horror, and it does definitely have scary moments. But
and it does the scary moments quite well.
Very
There's
well.
just, they aren't.
It is.
If you're going into this Five Nights at Freddy's movie expecting to get jump scared like in the games, you really won't be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The horror is much more like intense.
It's
suspenseful,
situational,
like
suspenseful horror.
Yeah, it's like the games are scarier than the movie, but when the movie does take something and really uses that same style of horror that the games used, it does it very well.
It does it very well.
It pulls it off very effectively, and I feel like, honestly, you can tell how much the people making this were interested in and
you can tell how much
invested
Scott
in
was
the
involved
story,
with
and
this
how
movie.
much Scott Cawthon was personally involved in the story, which I think would... Honestly, my biggest hope from this and the Mario movie is to kind of show to Hollywood that not only can video
and
games...
the Sonic movies,
And the
too.
Sonic movies is not only to show Hollywood that video game movies can be financially successful, which is going to be the most important thing
But
for the Hollywood
how they
execs,
can be successful.
but how to do it and why it's important to care about your source material.
Right.
And if they keep up this pattern of just hiring more people who care about the source material to adapt into movies and to make the types of changes that they have been making from
we
the
can
source
get a bunch of
material
movies.
to fit with a movie format, we could be seeing a very strong trend of just better and better and better and better video game movies.
Yeah.
So this has me really hopeful.
And I think that is the core of what makes this movie good for me is that not only does it I mean, you've got some movies that have come out, cough Star Wars, cough, that just actively dislike their source material and actively work to destroy it. And then you have some movies that are just like, the source material exists, it's good. And then you have movies like this that
Try to be as faithful as
genuinely honor the source material. Like, I mean,
As
they
faithful as they can. I feel like they definitely
Well, not
they
necessarily
could
faithful,
they very well
like,
could have
every-
made just a one-to-one.
Yeah, but everything that was changed was because Cawthon was like, okay, I know that I can't do. We
It's
got to do
because
it
there are
this
things
way.
that
and
work
not
in a game that don't
necessarily
work in a movie.
faithful, but
They honor it.
honor it. Like, and they
don't spit in the
genuinely
face of it.
respect the source material, and I think that's what makes this movie so good. It's like, obviously they could have just adapted it one-to-one, but I don't know.
That
if
would not have been
That wouldn't have
worked.
been a good movie.
But it's like they really, I mean, they go out of their way to show that, hey, we care about the games, we care about the story that's been established, we care about the fans, and we care about the source material, and that's like the heart of the movie, which
It really is a
which-
movie for the fans.
it really
It's a movie
is,
for
and
the fans, it's a
that's
movie to have
why I
fun.
love it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we've discussed this
All
pretty
right,
thoroughly. Yeah, we're moving into spoiler territory, everybody. Lillian, did you decide whether or not you wanted to stay in the room for the spoiler
she
section?
said that she would be fine not seeing this movie for like 10 years, so we're okay.
Okay, well, I'm going to be completely honest. This is a movie I would go back and watch again, like when it becomes available on streaming.
It is available on streaming. It released
Yeah.
on Peacock.
Which is why its ticket sales are incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
That it grossed so much while also being available for streaming.
That's so impressive. Okay.
So anyone who hasn't seen it and plans on seeing it, you can just bookmark this video, come back to it.
Yep.
But hey, it's just a theory. So
A film theory.
I
Actually,
cannot believe-
Let's get into that first.
Yeah.
With the spoiler territory, because I went on the drive home from the movie theater. I put on the film theory episode to just listen to it while I'm driving, and I want to go through several of Matt Pat's predictions because in his film theory video, he's all like, "I'm gonna try and solve this movie before it even comes out."
he was freaking in the thing.
Which is hilarious because he has his cameo, but I'm like, also, he was in one scene, which means there's a good chance he didn't know most of the plot. He was just brought in for the restaurant
He very
scene to be the waiter.
specifically was in one scene that does not take place with any of the main characters and does not take
Exactly.
place with anywhere close to anywhere any of the major plot
No.
happens.
Which is true, which
Like-
I guess let's take a moment to just say Matt Pat cameo was amazing.
Did you
the whole
hey,
theater was
Kyle,
cheering.
Did you realize that his name tag is Ness?
His name tag says Ness.
That's amazing.
I think that was the loudest everyone like clapped. Like everyone was cheering during that scene.
Well,
And
everyone
just,
was
when
cheering.
when he leans in, he says, "But it's just
Just
a
a
theory."
theory. Oh, the
It's
theater
like
lost
that was
it.
the ultimate, just like Leonardo DiCaprio.
Whole theater lost it. It was so
Because
great.
I didn't realize it was him initially because it was like the side profile. But
Yeah,
then it
and
went
he came in
face,
like, anyone looking for some lunch today? And I
Yeah,
was
and it's
"Oh,
like it's
here's
not
a-"
like
and then it went to
until-
his face, and you're like, "Oh my
Like,
gosh,
it's
it's
Matt
Matt!"
Matthew Patru?
It's true because
Matthew
like
Patthew?
when he's not doing one of his iconic lines, his voice isn't that distinct. You know,
then you
like
got the face
But
shot.
then you see the face shot and you're like, it's him, and then he says it's just a theory, and I lost everything else he said because everyone in the theater was just cheering so loud.
Like that
But-
scene was so funny, and then the freaking lawyer just being like, he zooted or something. Like the lawyer was just kind of like,
The lawyer was so funny, just like, I just realized I shouldn't be here.
Sit down.
But anyway, back to the film theory episode, right? So he's trying to predict the entire movie before it comes out. And it was I was laughing so hard watching this video because of the things he got right, the things he got wrong, and the reasons he made his assumptions.
So what did he get right?
One thing he totally called was that the guy at the desk, you know, who's helping him get the job, was Afton.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, a lot of people thought it wouldn't be because they saw the name tag on the desk. It was a different guy. But let's be real. In FNAF, we know that appearances can be deceiving, and it's easy to be under a false name.
The tone shift as soon as he
tone
he
shift.
went Mike, like he didn't say the last
Schmidt.
name because he would have made the connection
Yeah.
between Garrett and Mike.
Yeah.
You're like,
the moment
this
he
is the brother, and he's like, I've got a job for you.
The moment he did that, I'm like, yeah, he's either. I think Aiden and I both were like, either he's Afton or he's in cahoots with Afton.
Like,
it's one of the two.
immediately-
Well, the point that made me when I watched, because I had watched Matt Pat's game theory beforehand of it, and the point that made me think like, okay, Matthew Lillard is definitely Afton, is because of the fact that Blumhouse signed him on for like
For 3
5
movies.
Like, yeah, like 3 movies.
That was some of the evidence. He had like, so first of all, this guy signed on for 3 movies, and just some random worker at like to help you get a
some random
job.
job counselor.
Unless they're really excited about their OC, he's got to be
Which
Afton.
that whole scene, I found someone, I saw this on Twitter literally earlier today. If you look carefully in that scene, this man has a participation award plaqued on his wall.
Oh, that's great.
He
That
is
is-
a crazy man.
That's great.
But yeah, that whole scene.
And there was more evidence too. Not only did he predict that, but he also predicted that it would turn out that Afton, which was him, was the guy who had kidnapped the younger brother, which was like the
That was
movie
kind of
never
assumed.
tried
Yeah, it was
to
kind of
dissuade
assumed.
you from it.
Yeah.
But like there was eventually the reveal of it, which
Yeah,
was more
right.
important to characters than audience. But
Yeah.
like he predicted both of those things, and the evidence he even used, like the freaking kid actors totally gave it away. Who were like, oh yeah, what's the actor's name? Matthew Lillard.
Matthew Lillard.
They're like,
So
he's
glad you're-
yeah, the guy who plays Garrett in the movie, like, put a social media post that was like, hey, it was great working with this guy. I'm so glad you're nicer than your character.
Aw,
And it's
well,
like, huh, what's the only scene
well,
he's in with an unidentified
yeah.
adult? The kidnapping scene.
that whole scene, like, because you see it like a dozen times in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which, it was very interesting to see that. And I love
I
the
really-
visceralness of, like, the sounds
so
and
I
stuff.
like
at
that
the
dream
picnic.
state that he was in so much. I love how they used it.
Oh, yeah.
Like the scene where he's like getting attacked by the animatronics, and how they used him getting attacked in that world rather than like the animatronics coming in. I thought that was so
That was fascinating.
well done.
I love the idea of like you get attacked in a dream and then you wake up with an actual injury. I know it's been used in many places, but it's so good.
I saw a thing that was like, rather, on my way home from watching the movie, I watched Moist Criticals. I listened to his Moist
Not
meter review
moist.
of
Oh, that's right. I saw that on my YouTube recommended.
of Five Nights at Freddy's, and something he mentioned when he was like, oh, the movie was really good and blah blah blah, and you know this is his whole thing, but he's like, honestly, he was like, the part that really blew me away was the whole concept of like the dream theory and like the trying to solve a crime by going back into your memory via dreams and
That
like
was a
being able to be
great
like
tie-in.
he was like that was like way cooler than I would have
Yeah, it was
expected.
very
from, like,
cool.
And he's like, I almost would have watched a whole movie just about that premise, like, you know, like, and because it was a really cool like concept that,
Honestly.
you know, like, I don't know.
And I feel like that's also a great way to tie in some of the different lore aspects with dreams and with the whole like establishment in the lore of this
chills
like
for
limbo state that the
Fortnite.
possessed
The
children are
children are
called
in.
the perfect day, which is represented by this daytime picnic in the woods in the movie. And like in the books, because I've read one of the books, the first one he put out, The Silver Eyes, and the explanation that was given in that book for why the kids attack, grown-ups in the restaurant is that like you're grown-ups here to ruin their
disturbing the
perfect
perfect
day. And that was the whole thing. And like the dead do forget, so they know they're angry, but they don't know why, and so they're just taking it out on anyone who's disturbing what would have been what they want to be their paradise. And so the way that was tied in, but altered to fit the plot of the movie in a respectful way towards the source material, are very good. Another prediction that Matt Pat had was that one of the main cast of protagonists would be dead by the end of the film. He's like, there's no way they're all going to make it to the end. His bet was on Abby getting killed.
See, when we were watching, I said that when Abby started, I was like, there's no way that either Abby or Mike isn't dead by the end of the film. I thought for sure they were going to kill one of them.
And near the beginning, I thought that was going to be the
Because
case
I'm like,
too.
this is a horror movie. There's no way they all get a happy ending. Like, this is a horror movie.
Matt Pat said the same thing.
This
It's
is
a
a
horror
horror
movie.
movie.
There's no way they're going to be sitting around the table at the end having a happy dinner. And I'm
But
like,
sure enough,
that's exactly what happens.
I mean, they are freaking
Okay, Vanessa.
gets stabbed.
Yeah, but Vanessa lives. Like she's not
she's
dead.
alive.
Yeah, he also did predict that Vanessa's injury did come from Afton.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, the trailer did not make that hard to guess. Because
Well,
there's
no,
like the shot of her
wouldn't
getting
have-
choked
it,
by
wouldn't have
Afton
made
and
sense
then
for
her
to
in the
get,
hospital.
Like harmed by the animatronics because it's like they would have done that a long time ago if they didn't like her. Like they
true.
like
Yeah.
her.
That's true. She's like one of the few people they do like.
Probably because they know that she's,
Yeah,
William
because-
Afton's daughter.
Yeah, they have
And
that
like,
connected.
oh,
Well, but I think it's implied that they're, at least in the continuity of the movies, not necessarily the games, but in
Right.
the continuity of the movies, they're not actively harmful towards anyone who's not like actively harmful. 'Cause for the first 2 nights, Mike is there and they don't bug him at all.
Foxy doesn't
Foxy,
he? Though?
Foxy got him with
scratches
the
his arm.
hook.
Like they will
Well, but
attack
in like the
anybody.
dream state, but like the actual animatronics
Well, no, but
don't.
But no, he's harmed in the dream state. They show that because the animatronic shows up there.
Yeah.
That's what if when he's being attacked in the dream state by the kids, the animatronics are there hitting him in the room.
Yeah,
It's
Foxy
just they
was
show
creeping
it.
around
They show it
while he was
But the
asleep.
reason I think they don't attack Vanessa is because they know that she was there as a kid, so they
Yeah,
know
so
her.
they
Yeah.
grew
know
up
her.
with her.
But like in the first 2 nights, like like
He's
but
hardly disturbed.
he's hardly
And
disturbed,
Foxy
hardly
only
disturbed,
hooked him after he chased Foxy down. That
Yeah.
seemed more like a retaliatory
Yeah,
self-defensive
retaliatory.
measure from
Maybe,
Foxy.
I guess.
it kind of,
Yeah.
and then the only people that they actively like.
But like that first security
attack-
guard at the beginning of the movie, what would that security guard have been doing?
Well, I think that was, from my understanding, that was Afton telling them to kill him.
Might have been. Well,
Maybe.
we don't have
We
that.
don't
We don't
have
really have
that.
explained why he was
Yeah.
killed by the animatronics. Just that he was.
Yeah.
And Vanessa does explain that they do try to add to their numbers because they want to have more friends.
Well, but they
there.
want more kids.
want
But they want more
kids.
kids, yeah.
Yeah.
So that one is less well defined, but I do think there does seem to be a thing of them being a lot more amicable in
Yeah.
the movie.
They
where
made a freaking table fort. I
They
mean,
did.
that whole scene.
That scene was so great.
So
I did
With,
not
like-
have that on my bingo board of like them lifting up tables and like.
Let's talk about this. Like, there were so many wholesome
They were
moments with the
treated as
animatronics
children.
where they're just playing. They're like, let's have some fun. Like, we are actual children.
Like
let's
Bonnie
make
picks
a
up
table
the
for-"
table, falls back. Like, are you okay? The thumbs.
And he
up.
gives a thumbs up. That was so funny. Dare I say, even a little cute.
It was so
Yeah.
like they really.
It
Like,
was-
the animatronics at the end of the day are just children.
And so we're there in the theater, and I turned to Aiden and I say something along the lines of like, I wasn't expecting some heartwarming
Yeah, I was
feelings
not
while I'm
ready
watching
for
this
some
movie.
Five Nights at Freddy's.
And yet,
movie.
like when Abby befriends the animatronics, and they're just like enjoying
Dude, it's
spending
like,
time
Freddy
together.
Just, like, hugs her back and.
Oh yeah, before they leave, and Freddy just gives her that hug, and then it's like, okay, you can go now. It's like, oh, and she draws
but
the heart on the paper and then hands it to
It
Chica.
does seem weird because then we find out later that like they want to keep Abby with them,
Mm-hmm.
which means like literally in their case trapping her in an animatronic.
Yeah, but
which
to
is a-
them, I don't think they understand like what that really means.
what that really means
Yeah.
for sure. But I guess what didn't really make a ton of sense to me is that we know that Vanessa did know that, and Vanessa knew the dangers.
Well,
And
yeah,
she
that's
was
the
still,
whole.
she
That's
was
my
still
whole,
like, yeah, let's all make a
I
like
think-
a
Well,
blanket
you
fort.
Well, then she also
They're-
said, if you bring her back here again, I'll shoot you.
Exactly.
right after
so,
making a blanket fort with them. Like I don't know.
so
it just
guys,
seemed a little
were you
weird.
paying attention to what Afton was saying near the end of the movie?
Yeah,
because
Afton
that
was-
explains
I
the
think
whole
Vanessa
thing.
was Vanessa was kind of in on it.
Yeah.
Because he was like, you had one job, you were supposed to bring them so I could kill them.
Yeah, so-
and then she decided, I'm not doing that anymore.
Exactly. So the whole thing with Vanessa, and also I was wondering, like, why do you keep coming back here? I mean, I know you have a history with Freddy's, but you haven't established any reason. Like, I'm wondering why Mike isn't suspicious that you keep reappearing. You're a police officer on patrol. This is on your beat. This isn't solely your beat.
Yeah.
But like, it's explained through Afton that Vanessa, and remember, Mike is like, he really did a number on you, didn't he? He's been Vanessa's father
He's
since she was little.
manipulated her.
He's manipulated her, done things to her to try and get her to be obedient to him, so that he can use
but
her
his
to
line-
keep victims there and keep them,
he said
from-
you had one.
Well, he said you had one job. It was to
keep them in the dark.
keep them in the dark and kill them if they got too close. So not like let me kill, like not lead them to me
Well,
killing them, but kill them if they
But
get
that's
too
why
close.
Vanessa was like there was to make sure that Mike
was to
didn't
make sure
do anything.
that
But then
Mike,
after
yeah,
seeing Abby like that, she's like, I can't kill them.
was
and I
crossing
need to
too
get
much of
them
a line.
out
It
of
was another
here.
kid.
Right, but why was she like, all right, let's build a blanket fort?
Well, probably because in that instance she didn't quite realize the connection there.
and she was there supervising. She would have been
Because
able
she didn't
to
realize-
freely take Abby away without reprisal
Yeah.
from the
Vanessa was
animatronics.
there to
But
keep
Vanessa
them-
knows she's not going to be there all the time, every night. So she's like, okay, this one time we could have fun. I was here to keep Abby safe. But you bring her back, there's a chance
Even
you'll be here
I
when
can't
I'm not
protect
here,
you.
and if Dad shows up,
Yeah,
it's over.
I think that was why Vanessa didn't want to come that final time, because she knew that Afton was probably going to be there.
Yeah.
But then she just was like, I can't let this happen to them.
Because
And then showed up.
it definitely, I didn't necessarily get the vibe. I mean, was Vanessa like in on it? Like
Maybe
I
not
kinda
in
got-
on it, but like she
was
was
forced
definitely
to be.
somewhat influenced.
Yeah.
Because Afton, I mean,
She knew what Afton did. She was forced by him to try and keep people
But
in
it
the dark
kinda
about
seemed
it.
like-
But she was turning more towards because she started to bond with Mike, and she especially didn't want to drag
and she
Abby
knew
into
their
it.
story.
Right.
They weren't
And she
just
knew-
another. He wasn't just another
Just-
security
wasn't
guard.
just
He
another
had
faceless
He
victim.
literally had connection to William, because Vanessa knew as soon as he said that my brother was taken,
Yeah.
and this was his name. Vanessa,
The guilt.
She was like, "Oh,
She
wait a
understood.
minute."
Well, but it's like it just seems weird because it's like Vanessa, like I don't know.
Vanessa.
The
And
vibe,
this is-
the vibe I got from it was that Vanessa's job was to like keep the security guards in the dark. That Afton didn't want them to know, like didn't want the security guards to ever find out.
well, no,
or,
but the security
like-
guards were going to find out eventually. Was the thing.
Like I think
That
the
was
idea
what
was
he
to
meant by
keep them in
don't
the
let 'em
dark
get too
long enough to
close.
get them killed on his terms so that they don't cause problems.
And so
Afton
she
was
was
still
there
interested in victims.
because as soon as
Yeah.
he revealed what he was doing there, she had to keep coming to make sure he didn't keep snooping, and then he kept snooping, so she still had to be there. And then it just
Yeah.
then Abby got roped in, and then she now has to decide. She had to decide. I don't want Abby to
but
die.
I do think you hit on some of the things that I had problems with
Yeah,
the way
I
Vanessa
as
was
well.
handled. Was
Yeah.
I was able to parse all those things together and figure it out because I mean, as a guy who is in his spare time, well, when I do have it, a writer, a person who does story like critiquing and like reading and writing and plotting and stuff, I was able to pick apart precisely what the whole deal was with her, but I recognized that there were a lot of ways they could have telegraphed it better
Yeah, she
without
wasn't
being
the most
super
well-written.
obvious. Her dialogue was often pretty weak, and I feel like there were quite a few points where just the actor herself wasn't given enough to work with to truly make Vanessa as good as she could have been.
I almost kind of wonder if the movie would have been a little bit better if Vanessa
Didn't exist.
just wasn't
Wasn't a part of it?
Yeah, I
Would
don't.
have been interesting.
It would have been interesting. That final scene at the end, though, would have been like you would have to rewrite all of that at the end, because it's like Vanessa's literally the reason that
they're
Mike
all alive.
and
yeah.
Abby even survived.
It's
But like I
true.
could kind of see it being like the career counselor guy kind of fills that role of like
Court chills
explaining
for
sort of things that happen, and then
Fortnite.
him being Afton is like the big
No,
twist.
but why would
and, like,
would've
Afton
been
explain that, though? I think Afton
Yeah.
didn't want to
Yeah, that's
explain it,
fair.
and the only
And
reason
it's-
Vanessa opened up about it is because Mike figured it out.
Well,
Right.
not entirely though. There were quite a few moments where she was literally just spouting exposition or spouting hints towards, "Hey, you should ask me about exposition." Like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, a lot doesn't happen here since the kids disappeared. The what? Where'd that come
But yeah,
from?
William
Yeah.
wouldn't. I don't know. William wouldn't have said that, because if he had told that to Mike, Mike would have not taken that job.
Yeah.
If William had been like, "Oh yeah, 5 kids were killed, they couldn't find the bodies," why would you take that job even if you were
Yeah.
desperate for a job?
Yeah. Especially if you're taking care of a child.
Yeah. So.
But then it also raises the question: if Vanessa's whole job there, influenced by her father, of course, but was to keep him in the dark, why did she mention that 5
well,
kids?
I think at that point, because she had already seen Abby. I think that
she hadn't seen Abby by that point.
thought-
That
She-
was
that was
that
that was the
uh,
very first interaction.
that was part of
you're
the
right,
first
you're right,
interaction.
yeah. Well, no, but didn't Mike mention it?
He might have mentioned
Because she explained that to him after.
No, because she asked if Abby was his daughter when she first met her, so she didn't know about Abby at that point. So that was a thing that I think was a bit of weaker stuff. Is
Maybe.
like Vanessa had no discernible reason to bring it up, even though like she knew about it.
Or maybe she just
She
like
didn't-
she just doesn't like, she didn't want Mike to have to die, and was like, "You can leave now. This is your chance. I'm
Yeah.
trying to give you hints. Get away."
That might have
And
been.
then he didn't leave, and she's like, "Okay, well, I told you.
I
Yeah.
tried,
I tried."
but I feel like even that could have been telegraphed better.
Yeah, I think she is the weakest of the characters in terms of writing, and then William.
I
I don't really like how William was handled in those final scenes.
You know, but every bit of it was just
How so?
weak dialogue.
That was it, because William
he-
really just came off as just like a guy who's like, "Oh, he's just evil."
He's like,
"Oh."
which is why I almost wish that some of his stuff had been replaced or had been
had
her-
taken
had
over
him tell
Vanessa's
the-
parts.
yeah, like
That might have fleshed him out more, honestly.
At the end, would you
But,
have
like-
him do it at the end or as the career guy?
like have him essentially be the phone guy more or less.
Well, he
But,
was
like,
the phone guy,
he
but
barely touched on being phone guy though.
yeah, that was
Yeah.
just kind of
Which
like
was
what we-
sucky. I was waiting to hear Scott Cawthon's
I
voice
was wanting
recordings.
phone guy.
I wanted phone guy. Why did we not get phone guy? But like, just going back to the end, right? The reveal when he's walking down the corridor, like,
Looked really
that
cool.
was cool. Admittedly, there's not much of a reason for him to be stumbling when we see like maybe 20 seconds later him standing perfectly upright, but it was a great
I think he was.
reveal.
I think he was like ducking underneath something, wasn't he?
Well, it's also
maybe.
probably a heavy suit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
but like
kinda
afterwards,
why
the heavy suit didn't seem to be a problem.
Yeah,
But,
like, what I'm trying to get on.
Yeah,
what
I just wanted to say I really liked the look of the Springtrap
Oh, the
suit.
Springtrap
the
suit.
Springtrap
It
suit
looked
was good.
very
All of the
cool.
suits.
All
very
of the suits
modern.
all of the
The
animatronics
suits were all
looked
done very well.
amazing.
Yeah, honestly, no complaints there.
Yeah, like those all. They all look good. They're very game accurate. The Springtrap suit, not so much because it's not a
It's not
rotting
rotted
corpse,
yet, which
but
at first had me like, wait a second, but then I'm like, oh, it's before then. Okay.
Before it became a
But it looked so good. I don't know what it was exactly about it, but like the fact that it was actually like a person side of it wasn't so much like the
And
exoskeleton.
you can see his
thing.
jaw moving when he's first speaking.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
that was
it's
good.
cool because like you see the picture of Vanessa when she's a kid and
in
Afton,
the suit. Yeah,
In
and
the
you're
suit.
and you can kind of be like, I can see how that would be a little bit of a creepy, but like a suit that someone
with
would
all
wear
the
at like a
lights
pizza
on.
place.
Yeah,
With all the
because
lights
then
on,
it's
it's
on
fine.
in
But
dark.
then-
It's like the
but then
silver eyes. You're
with
like,
him,
oh my
like
gosh.
there at the end, I was like, nope.
Yeah, and
I
like,
wonder if they were hinting at all. I don't know if y'all know too much about the deep Five Nights at Freddy's lore. Is that
I
there
spent
is
a lot of time on that recently.
there is something called, I think, accretion disc. No, that's
talking about
that's
Remnant,
gravity.
or
No, there are these like sound discs
below?
that like when they display certain frequencies, it can cause visual
Oh
hallucinations.
yeah.
Oh yeah, and in the lore, Afton was using that on
Mm-hmm.
his kids to try and keep them out of trouble. Yeah,
Where he would like use frequencies to make them see things that aren't there. And I wonder if that was hinted at all because there was a lot of imagery on like the speakers.
that's
And,
true.
and they would start playing this weird sound that just
Yeah, that's true. Maybe
Wacky sounds, and honestly, like since the very first game, auditory cues have been very important in FNAF, and auditory horror has been very important in FNAF. So, like, I think you're kind of onto something there, but we still haven't talked about like the thing we were concerned about with Afton's appearance and just the weak dialogue, where he's giving like what sounds like for a just a poorly written kids movie bad guy speech.
Yeah,
you know,
he
especially
doesn't
at the
give,
very
like-
end.
Yeah, we really don't know much about his
motivations, his desires. Like, I'm fine with having a pure evil villain, but they need to be fleshed out.
Flesh him out. Yeah,
They
he
can be
has some-
fine enjoying being evil as long as they have motivations, they have goals, they have character personality quirks. Sorry about the alarm on my phone. Which he did have some personality quirks, but then he goes he's like, oh, it's me, I'm the bad guy, and you all just suck, you're just little children who are
Yeah.
powerless against me. And he's like waving his arms. I'm like, that sucked.
Yeah.
That totally
Yeah. That
killed
was
the
definitely the
creepiness of
instinct,
him.
And also the I always come back. That was kind of, in my opinion, like stupid fan service.
It was like, I get why they put it there, but it's like, this is so forced.
It's,
Well,
it's
like there's
very
like no
forced.
there's like no precedent.
Yeah,
for
there's
that.
no-
there's
no
if
context
you have
for-
something like that, like if you're gonna say I always come back, there has to be a precedent.
He
for
would
it.
have needed
has
to have come back first before the first time.
Or at least have Vanessa hint at something to that degree of like, when he comes, how do you know he'll come? He always comes back.
That- yeah.
Even that would have made that line infinitely better.
Yeah.
So it's like, again, the really biggest thing holding this movie back is just the weak dialogue and
weak
not
dialogue.
Yeah.
enough scary moments. But at the same time, there were still some great moments, and he did do a stellar job at being the career coach.
Dude, that was so
Well, and the story, I mean, overall, the story was great.
Overall, the story was good.
The animatronics blew my mind because they're all real
They are real
animatronics.
animatronics.
There's actual real robots they had on set.
Yeah.
They are so
That's
good.
To the point where
Great.
like the Foxy animatronic broke down on set and its arm caught on fire. But it is like they are all
They
like
are real animatronics.
physical
I was
animatronics.
really wondering what they were going to do with that.
Yeah, they are real
Like
animatronics.
CGI or...
No, they're all,
That's impressive.
My biggest gripe with those is the cupcake.
The cupcake was
I
interesting.
did not like the cupcake.
Cupcake was
at
a
all.
bit weird. We've known from later FNAF games that the Cupcake could move independently. There were even some jump scares with the Nightmare version
Yeah,
of
the
the
cupcake is kind of used as like their lapdog.
But yeah, and it has the razor teeth, which kind of came out of nowhere. Which was like, okay, it was kind of creepy that it ate that one dude's face, but what the heck?
Yeah.
It's kind of creepy that it ate that one.
Well, the one thing that
Put that on the
we were
quote
debating
board.
about, the one thing that we were debating about when we got out of the theater is So we know that there are 5 dead kids,
well,
right?
Yeah, is the
Who controls the
cupcake.
cupcake?
Is the cupcake a kid or is the
That's right,
cupcake
just 'cause
there was-
an
there
extension
was-
of Chica's?
Well, no, but the 5th
Yeah.
kid was Golden Freddy. That's
Yeah,
what
which
like, fifth
one of
is.
Matt Pat's predictions was the 5th kid in the vision was the cupcake, and then
Yeah,
the
no,
younger
it's-
brother was Golden Freddy, which was shown to not be the case.
Yeah, we don't know what Garrett, because we were
We
talking
don't know if
about
Garrett
that.
was
We was
any of
like,
them.
is Garrett an animatronic? Or are we going to see that
I
in the
think
future?
I think likely Garrett would end up being the puppet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
honestly,
that's
that
my
would have been my
thought.
thought but there was no puppet. We didn't see any
Right.
puppet.
That's what a second movie's for.
Yeah, right.
In the end credits,
Yeah, it spells it out, doesn't it?
I don't know, but in the end credits of the movie, the
There's-
puppet theme, the puppet
Yeah,
music
that-
box starts playing.
And then
really?
did that voice at the very, very end. I didn't hear because of
starts
all the noise in the
spelling
theater,
stuff out.
but I'm pretty sure, I'm guessing it was SAVETE.
Save them. Oh, I think you're right. I think it was Save
which
Them.
which is the same audio from the mini games in FNAF 3 where it's telling you to save the kids.
Because, yeah, we don't know the timeline of when Garrett was taken versus when the first kids disappeared.
I mean, we can
It's
guess
true.
it's probably roughly
well,
10
it's like in
years
what
prior.
order?
so-
In like kind of the
Oh,
order. Because
right,
if Garrett
yeah.
was first, then he could be the puppet.
He could
because
be
the
the
puppet
puppet.
was the first one.
Right.
Yeah, and so there's a good chance of that. And I gotta say though, now that we've mentioned Golden Freddy, I feel like
He was so well written.
His
He was so
rollout
good.
in the show was so good, and the fact that he was kind of the ringleader for all the kids was also really cool.
So the voice is spelling out "Come find me."
Oh, it's saying "Come find me."
Well, it's the same kind of
Oh.
voice as the puppet, though.
It is the same kind of voice. So,
So I bet you it's Garrett.
It's probably Garrett.
might be
Garrett,
Garrett.
probably is the puppet. If they roll forward with involving
chills
Mike
for
Schmidt's story more into
Fortnite.
FNAF, then Garrett probably is the puppet.
oh, I would love that. That'd be
But
cool.
yeah, I thought it was interesting. I didn't put together that
You didn't?
the Golden until after, but like, because Golden Freddy, the actual physical animatronic, only shows up outside of the Pizzaplex, or not the Pizzaplex.
Yeah, he never shows up in it.
pizzeria.
Pizzeria.
Yeah, he's
Like
never in the
he's
pizzeria.
in their house, and then he's like outside.
and he's in the taxi.
He's in the taxi.
And he's in the taxi.
scene was great.
But like you never see
Yeah,
him
no, Golden Freddy's never in
in
the
the
pizzeria.
and
Which is
it took me
interesting.
even. I at first thought that the kid, like the main of the
Golden
5
Freddy
kids, was the kid inhabiting Freddy.
Oh
And
no!
it
Yeah,
took-
as soon
it
as
took me a minute
as soon
to
as I saw
realize-
5 and the kid up front had golden hair and was wearing
Yeah,
yellow shirt,
golden
like
hair.
that's Golden Freddy.
And then there was the other
it took
kid
me
with
a
the
minute
top
to put
hat.
together that
It's like-
he was.
Because yeah, there
that
was a
he
kid wearing a
Golden
top
Freddy.
hat. And
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute.
But-
Because it was just so. Because then when Abby's like, "Oh, Freddy's like, I'm not Freddy."
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah.
Yep,
no,
that's-
sure enough.
that's-
He's
And
Golden
Golden Freddy
Freddy.
looked really cool. They did a
Oh
really good
yeah,
job
he
with that
looked
animatronic.
amazing. He was like creepy, but yet not like oversold creepy.
Yeah, he
you
was
know?
just kind of like a little broken down.
And then one thing that did kind of bother me was that they never wrapped up the loose thread of the ant's dead body in the
Yeah,
scene.
okay. She's sleeping. Oh,
She's-
silly
She's-
ant.
It's like
They killed her.
they
He
killed
got-
her.
Yeah.
And then at the very end, they're like having happy dinner at their home.
Yeah, what happened to
Yeah,
the
and
And
body?
what happened to Ant? What's
the police? What did they tell the police? She was killed by a giant ghost bear. All right.
No, the taxi driver saw him.
Dude, the taxi driver is so funny.
It was that part. I always get the
do I
weirdos.
get
the
all the
fact that he
weirdos?
went with it too.
Oh, I know.
after
Yeah,
Freddy
well, he's
got
a
in there.
YouTuber.
Yeah, he's a YouTuber.
Who was that?
I don't remember his
Corey-
name.
Was he another
X
like popular
Kenshin?
YouTuber who did like Let's Plays of FNAF?
Yeah, like
Okay.
Corey X Kenshin or something.
That's
like that. I
that sounds kind of familiar because I remember there were two YouTubers who beat the like maximum difficulty custom night in the original FNAF game, which Scott Cawthon had thought was impossible, which was why there wasn't some special reward after that in the game.
Well, he's in the
because,
movie.
Like he might be one of those guys because the first two guys to do that were Markiplier and another YouTuber.
Probably
I don't
was
know.
him,
But yeah, it was. I really liked how they did it, but then also the way that they handled like the gore in the movie, like they did it by cutting away.
Yeah,
Like
so much of the time.
that girl got freaking chomped in half.
got bitten in
and
half.
you see it through.
Was that the bite of '87?
I heard like 7 different people say, "Was that the bite of baby?"
There we go.
One of whom was your sister, Ben. No. She leaned over to my sister who was
a
sitting,
joke.
and she just goes, "Was that the bite of '87?"
But it's like the way they handled
That
that
was-
scene. You like see it through the shadow on the
Which
wall. You
was-
just see the bottom half of her body just drop to the floor.
yeah.
And it was like a clean cut too. It was
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. I didn't like. Okay, like the okay. I want to say the whole stepping up there, the tension building, then the hand reaches out and and like that was great. But then we move over
I
to the
was
shadow.
not ready to
and it
watch.
chops her in half. And I'm just like, wait, what?
I was like, oh my god.
Well,
Like
they
I
show,
feel like
like-
I'm more confused than scared now. What? What just happened?
But it's like when the guy in the broom closet gets messed up by Bonnie, it's like it's all through. You just see like the frosted glass and just the hand,
the bloody
and
Which was
that's
kind
it.
of fun, though. I did kind of like that.
Yeah,
Of
well, I
just
mean,
like,
it has to be
Bonnie's roughing him
PG-13.
up.
They can't make. It
Although I will
PG-R.
say the
That's
scene
true.
at the end when he like wakes up and he's on.
Oh, when you see their bodies.
You see the bodies of the 3 that like came.
Including
I
the
was like,
mutilated face.
okay,
Oh, yeah,
that's
like, that
okay.
was-
Mhm.
But I
But,
mean,
like, I do
they
love that they
couldn't
were
have made it
stuffed in the
R.
suits.
It's
No,
like,
no. Because
Yeah.
if you made it
Yeah.
R, you lock out a lot.
You
of
lock
your
out a
audience.
ton of your audience.
But
yeah.
they did a pretty good job of like making it not bloody or gory, but like insinuating it very
Still
heavily.
horror, yeah.
And you like
And
know
there
that
was
that's
still blood, but just not like ridiculous amounts.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like you're not seeing like just bloody remnants of people's bodies. It's like no, you see the shadows or frosted glass or like a blood speck
I thought it was very smart for them to bring in those 3 hooligans that like.
Oh yeah.
to show the real power.
Well,
of,
to like, yeah, because it's like you wouldn't like you have to show if you really want to make it like a horror like 5 Nights, you have to show the animatronics just freaking murdering
Someone
some
needs to get
folks.
murked. Yeah.
You know, but it's like, but you don't want to do that with your main characters.
Yeah,
that
you
you
gotta
spent this
have
whole
some
movie
extra
like.
people.
Yeah.
So it made sense for them to bring in these 3 hooligans that you don't really know that well and you're not super attached
Actually,
to. But
technically 4 when you include the
'Cause
girl.
the girl
Because
Oh,
there are
yeah.
the 3 guys, and then she comes
Yeah.
in.
And
It
see,
was
that's
funny
the
because I
thing-
thought she was gonna be like, you know, the
thought she was
the
gonna
girl
get
who.
out.
I thought she was either gonna get out, not go in, or even at the beginning of the movie, I'm like, is this a potential love interest for Mike? She's like, I wish someone would buy me a wedding ring, and then looks right at him.
And see, that's why.
and then gets bitten.
I think it's been. It's like, so much for that plot line.
Yeah, it was
Well, because
important.
they kind of make it seem like she's a little like hesitant.
She's very
So,
hesitant.
like-
she
She's very
just
hesitant.
needs money, but she's like, do we have to go out of our way? Because she like likes Abby.
Yeah,
And she
likes
doesn't
Abby,
think
she likes
Mike's,
Mike.
Mike's a bad person.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So she's just kind of there, which is why it's like the animatronics, if they're only going after people who are there to cause harm, she just walked in.
Yeah, but they were already agitated at that point.
Yeah, I
think
guess
it was
maybe
too late
that's
for
it.
her. They
But
were
it-
like, oh, here's another
Yeah,
one.
you
Let's
see the
just get her
parts- but
before she
then-
can do anything.
But then my question is, do you think that like female animatronic suit means anything? Because that was what they were putting.
Oh,
when you
the-
put
the-
Abby
they're
in
trying
it.
to
putting Abby into-
I feel like it was a reference to Circus Baby because the
Yeah,
face
that
looked
was
like
my-
Circus
yeah.
Baby.
I heard someone in the theater with us, like some kid sitting behind me or something, saw that animatronic that they were going to put Abby into, and like freaked out and like started like going like, "That's from the books. That's from the books." That's
Oh,
Was
from
there
okay,
a
so it's
book
in the books.
animatronic?
And so I
There's-
wonder
there's
if it's
a lot.
something from the books. Yeah, like
Because there's a lot of books that have been
Because
put
like,
out
there's
now.
nothing in that
Yeah.
movie that was put there without meaning. Like
Yeah.
everything in
Oh,
that
yeah,
movie has
everything.
meaning.
Like
so
every time that "It's Me" was written in the dust on the
Yeah, on the
mirror and
dust,
then was
yeah.
gone later.
I will say that the two things, and Kyle and I talked, the 2 things that I wish were in the movie is we never heard the jingle. Not
Yeah.
once.
we never heard the
We
Tornado
never heard the
March.
jingle,
That
and
too.
you never got to hear the game screams. The animatronics.
Well, there
is
was
like,
once.
you do.
When
You hear Foxy
yeah,
does
when
his.
Foxy got the
The guy at the end of
brother
the hallway.
at the end
Was
of
it
the hallway.
his normal scream or was it?
It was
like,
the
It sounded
yeah,
like
it was
it,
the
yeah.
'cause
rec-
I don't remember hearing
the
like,
regular
I don't remember
FNAF
hearing the
scream.
iconic FNAF scream.
I definitely like.
I remember hearing.
Okay,
it.
if you guys heard it,
Okay.
then I guess it was it. But yeah,
I'm
you never
pretty
hear the
darn sure.
jingle.
Yeah, you
It
never
would
heard
have
the
been
jingle,
so
which
easy for
sucks.
them to just throw that over the intercom.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
so
There
there
were
were even just
several
included
points
into
where
the
I was like-
soundtrack as a little
There were
motif.
several points where I was pretty sure
I
that,
was
like,
ready
he was
for
gonna
it.
and it was gonna be.
I'm
like
pretty
the-
sure it was in the trailer, so like
Yeah,
they
it's in
knew
the
about
trailer.
it.
Yeah,
So like,
of course.
Because it's like you either
Yeah.
put it over there, or you could have had that be like the underlying like leitmotif during the dream world. You
Yeah.
could have
Oh,
had like an
It
orchestration.
would have been so
light.
good.
Oh,
or
yeah.
even like when
Even
what's her
during the
bucket?
credits. I mean, throw it in the credits.
Well,
after
the credits you got.
well,
you got
after
the,
the-
you've got
yeah,
Living
After the
Tombstone.
Yeah,
Living
Living
Tombstone,
Tombstone.
which was the perfect
I'm
song
so glad
for the
that they
credits.
ended on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we didn't
Um,
get the jingle at all, and I'm like, why didn't
That was
there were
such
so
a
many
missed
chances
opportunity.
to use
Yeah.
it.
And like with the hooligans, why couldn't one of them been in a dark room with Freddy doing the lights in his face flashing and then
yeah.
the Toreador March,
That
and
would've-
then
even
it
just
like
once.
cuts to black and you hear the scream and you don't even see.
Like that would have been
Yeah.
perfect.
that would have been the best kill in the entire
But
movie.
yeah, we just didn't. Get,
Hoi, 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 hoi.
we just didn't get
Yeah.
the jingle, and I was like, I was so wanting the jingle.
There was one other thing that I feel like was like kind of with deaths that could have been done better, which is when they set up the spring locks on Afton. They're just like, "Cupcake, I choose you."
Oh,
Chew
yeah,
on him to
the-
set
They
up the
could have.
spring
They
Yeah.
could
locks.
have done it themselves.
Which was just like
That would have been a lot more like thematically cool if they all
It would
came
have
in
been.
and like
Crushed it
the
in.
spring locks
and just
into
like
them,
you
yeah.
know, give him a good smack right in the right spot or something.
Yeah, it's like them
that's the
doing it-
question. That, like, how do you do it? Because like the animatronics are very clunky and like don't have.
Yeah, but all they have to do is just grab and squeeze. Like
Yeah.
those things are
That would have been enough
hydraulically
to set
powered.
off the spring locks.
Yeah,
And
but,
like in the book, when his spring locks get set off, it's one of the human characters who reaches up and trips it when he's like got her with a knife. and it's like she's coming with me, and she's
Yeah,
like,
I don't think the animatronics would have had much trouble activating that.
yeah,
No, no,
it's-
but like having it like be visually appealing.
That's
Oh
fair.
yeah, you would have. I guess yeah. Well, no,
like
because
to
the-
open
the-
up
the
the
cup-
spot so you can watch it happen.
The cupcake
it
wasn't-
does allow it.
I
Okay.
think the best way would have been like him being like stuck somewhere, because like he was standing there, and the cupcake was just like, "Wah!"
I think it would have been like you could have done it, like
was-
he gets caught in a door or something and like stuck in a midway
I
in the
would have
door. and
also
crushes
liked
it.
what happened in the games, in the third game, where he laughs and breathes on the spring lock, which was
chills
established
for
in the games as being able to set them off. Moisture can set
But
off
it wasn't.
the
That
spring
wasn't
locks.
established in the movie though. So
If
would
they
have
had,
to
if they had
include
done that, if they had established that in the movie, and then had him like laugh or something, or even just like get stuck in an
and
awkward
then
position
gasp.
and breathe on it, or gasp or
But
something.
I think it makes more sense to have the animatronics be the reason it set off because
Yeah.
it
Have
works
them do
with
it
Because
on
that's the whole
purpose.
thing is them like
realizing, oh,
And
he's not a
turning-
good guy.
yeah, and
I
turning-
really like the
Beyond-
idea that the pictures on the wall like
Defined
set the
what they
canon.
believed.
Yeah.
Set
Yes.
the child's canon, and so I
That
was like,
was
get rid
good.
of this one. We're
because
installing
they
this
set
one.
that up a little bit in the beginning when the
teacher
the
was all
therapist lady
like,
is like
Pictures
like,
are
pictures have a
incredibly
lot of
important to
meaning
children.
for
Children,
yeah.
exactly. That
So,
was
like,
good
they,
setup.
They had to
Yeah.
have
That
the
was good
animatronics set
foreshadowing.
off the spring traps because
Yeah.
it like kind of it makes it realize.
I just wanted something
But
better
beyond-
than Minion. Take him out.
Yeah,
I'm just going to stand and
was
watch.
kind of like okay,
that was
whatever,
dumb.
Yeah.
But
But beyond like the start of it, I really enjoyed the spring lock.
the spring lock scene
scene.
was
Oh, yeah.
really cool.
That was
and then
very
it's just
well
like at
done.
the end, he's like twitching in the broom, and the Golden Freddy just closed it and just smiles. and
Yeah,
just-
that- I love that part.
Like it sets it up perfectly. It's like if they don't want to do a sequel, it's fine.
Yeah.
If they want to do a sequel, it's fine.
I mean,
It's
they
like-
they signed.
They did-
They signed.
Well, and
they
I
off
think
signed
the
it
next
in
one
the
is
movies.
already
I
in
think-
pre-production.
And they
Yeah,
did
I'm
spend
ready
a
for the
decent
movies.
amount of effort near the end of the film, very
Setting
obviously
up.
setting up for a sequel.
Well, and I
Yeah.
mean, with how well the movie's already doing, I
Yeah, I'm
think
pretty
it's
sure
that's
more than
guaranteed.
justified.
The thing is, though, I have no idea how they're gonna like tie it in.
well, no, I'm thinking that you make Garrett the puppet. You have Spring Lock
no, no,
suit
no,
in
but like,
there.
how is it gonna be Mike Schmidt?
Yeah, no, I think you
should
carry
be.
with Mike
Yeah.
we
Schmidt.
would need to bring Mike
how
Schmidt
would
back.
why would he end up at a FNAF 2 location?
Well, no,
That
That's
is
exactly-
the thing.
that's
like,
the question.
I'm,
Now
I'm
we don't know
struggling,
how
I'm
to bring the
struggling to
cast
figure out
back.
how they're going to make
Well,
it so
but,
Mike
like,
Schmidt
they
goes
even
somewhere
they
else.
even say like, she's like, "Can we go back and visit my friends?"
Yeah.
And he doesn't say no.
He just says,
Because
You
here's,
never know
here's
what
what I
can
think. I
happen.
think if they do a second movie, he's not a security guard. They just end up the location because I think you involve Garrett and the puppet and Abby. You
what-
use Abby as the
Yeah,
connection.
like maybe he
What
starts
if-
having dreams about Garrett leading him back to Freddy's.
Ben's- he's cooking?
Sorry, go.
What if
Benny's cooking.
Abby's like, I really want to go see my friends. He's like, okay. They go there.
Oh.
It's been torn apart. They've taken the
It's been
animatronics
demolished.
to like some
To a new
other place, or
Someone
like
bought the
So they
rights.
go to
Or a
Sisters,
different
like,
Five Nights at
they go to
Freddy's
the second
location.
Yeah.
and included in that was your boy Springtrap.
Yeah, where he
They
was
saw a
moved over
suit and
there.
went, "Oh, we got to move him as well."
Yeah. What would have happened when they saw the suits without heads with a dead lady clearly
Yeah, that's
sitting
why.
in there?
That's why it's like I don't. If they did a second movie, I don't think Mike would be a security guard.
Well, also, here's the thing: who cleaned the blood off of the glass?
Oh, the
Yeah,
animatronics
it was
did.
mostly wiped off.
I would imagine.
So, do you think maybe they do it,
I
or
think
was
they
that?
do it.
No, well,
Or do you think that was Vanessa?
I thought it was Vanessa.
Oh, you
I
think
thought it was
Vanessa
implied
did
that
it?
it was
Oh,
Vanessa.
maybe she did it. That
Because
would
she
make
kind
sense.
of like, because he's
could
like,
have
you
been.
knew about all the dead bodies in there, and she was like, yeah.
Or
like,
William did
Or
it.
Afton.
Or
Afton might have
did
just
it.
cleaned up so that people wouldn't be
It was
suspicious.
one of them did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I think if you do a second or third, I don't think Mike is a security guard at that point. I think they use Garrett and tie that in, and that's how they end up back involved, is because Garrett and Abby have a connection, and then that's how you involve the puppet, and then
Yeah, they definitely one of them would have had to have cleaned it up because you see that they've moved all of the bodies of the hooligans
Into the back
like
room.
into it. So
I
like
don't
either
think Vanessa
did
would
that.
have wanted to do
No,
that.
Or
I thought
Afton
that
did
was
that,
the
or the
animatronics.
I think the
animatronics
because
did
like
it,
they
right?
were stuffed in
Yeah.
suits, so I figured that was an animatronics doing.
Were they stuffed in suits?
Yeah, well the girl at least was.
And she
The
wasn't
guy
all
whose face was mulched was just lying there on the
No,
floor.
the girl wasn't stuffed in a suit. She was just set
her
on-
head was sticking out of the suit body.
Oh, was it? I thought that was
Yeah.
just her torso just sitting on
No,
the wall.
her head was sticking out of the suit body.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. But I do feel like if we get a sequel, my guess is it would use the location from FNAF 2.
Yeah.
We'd have the puppet and the new toy animatronics. And maybe we might bring in like Afton having come back already and we just have an early Springtrap.
Well, no, but if they're signing on for 3 movies, I feel like you're saving Springtrap for the third movie.
for third movie, which
and
is
maybe
like
you use the
it
second movie as
seems to-
flashbacks.
Yeah, it seems to me like we're using FNAF 1, 2, and 3 as just each of the 3 movies, right?
Yeah, I feel
so
like
the third
you
one is
use the
Fazbear
third-
Frights, you know.
I think you use the third movie as William Afton as the mangled
As I always
as
come back.
Springtrap, and he
Yeah.
is he's really the only one involved, because I think you use the second one to use flashbacks, and that's you have William Afton still, and you kind of use that one as an exposition kind of movie, and you involve the puppet, kind of explaining it to Schmidt, and then you set up the third one.
Yeah, which makes me wonder: is Mike Schmidt going to be the protagonist of all 3 movies?
I would assume so.
I would
I feel
assume
like how you
so.
set up this one, you kind of have to.
Plus, you
Yeah.
don't hire a relatively big name like Josh Hutcherson.
I
for-
feel like
yeah.
I feel like for the second one, I think Abby is going to be involved a little more as well.
Yeah.
I think the big question is if you see Vanessa at all.
I think you will.
She'll
I think
probably recover. They wouldn't have showed her in the hospital unless they were planning on doing stuff with her. Otherwise, she would have been dead.
Yeah.
But no, I think you run with Mike's backstory.
Because it definitely is inspired by and very respectful of the story of the game.
But it's doing
But
its
it's
own-
its own thing. It's its own
because
you
the
know.
games can't work as a movie. It's just not possible. So you use.
But like the story is even different in certain ways. You know,
Yeah.
like I don't know.
So
Because like in the lore of the games, Michael Schmidt isn't even Michael Schmidt. He's
No.
Michael Afton. He's his son, right?
that's
Like,
true. Like he's Michael
yeah.
Afton masquerading as these other people
these other
to
people
try and
to-
destroy everything that William did.
Right.
which is
But
not.
that's just a theory.
It's just a theory.
Yeah.
I will say we are all saddened that Markiplier was not in it, but
There
we
was no
understand
Markiplier
why.
cameo.
I really, really would have loved if Markiplier was on the training tape instead of that lady. Could you imagine?
Yeah,
if
that
that
would've
training
been
tape
We
so
were
had come
talking
on?
about we were talking about it after we left. Like, what would Markiplier have
I think
been?
the tape.
Wasn't
the tape lady.
Markiplier already in an ad for one of the FNAF games?
No.
Like, or did he just do
Yes,
that as his
he
own
was.
video?
Oh.
He was.
He was in an ad for the mobile phone.
For the
game.
mobile one, yeah, he
Yeah.
was. Which, like, they could have just had him there as the guy in the
I
training
think the
video.
training tape.
Yeah.
If it had been Mark, that would have been. So
Our guesses were that Markiplier would have either been the guy in the training video, the
First security guard. And that
the
died at
first
the beginning.
security guard,
Which would have been great.
or Mike's dad seen in flashbacks,
That would have been.
that would have been
neat.
really funny.
That would have been hilarious.
or the dad who Mike beats up at the beginning.
That's just
that
Mark.
would be
But
so funny.
I think the
Mark
best
gets
one
up from
would have
filming
been.
that scene. I'm not a masochist.
Not a masochist.
But I think the best one would have been.
I think the training tape.
The
That training
training
video
tape,
goes in.
yeah.
And it's just
Perfect.
Mark training.
It's just
like,
Mark.
Welcome to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza.
That would have been hilarious,
That would've
especially if
been
they
the
just
best
made that all like a bunch of the YouTubers. Like you get Mark,
Oh, dude, you get
PewDiePie,
Mark, PewDiePie,
Jacksepticeye,
that
just
would've
all
actually been
in that
really
training video.
Just a bunch of YouTubers.
That would have been hilarious.
But we didn't. But we got the Matt Pat.
The Matt Pat-
cameo that we
Yeah,
knew
Matt
was
Pat.
coming.
The Matt back and the fact that they let him say that's just a theory.
Yeah,
So
like,
good.
The classic way he does. That's just a theory.
That's just
you
a
know?
theory.
So good.
So good. But anyway, anything else? Oh, another thing that was great: the Balloon Boy jump scares. Let's
yeah.
be real.
The
Balloon
actual
Boy had
only
the
real
best
jump
jump
scares
scares
in
in
the
the
movie.
Oh
movie.
yeah.
Oh my goodness! The
Well, that
fact that he
fits
just
so well
kept
with
popping
his-
up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you saying?
Well, it fits with his
He just shows
character
up.
in the game where he just shows up just to annoy you and
He doesn't
It's
ever
true.
kill you.
Yeah,
He's just
That's
there.
true. Oh my goodness!
That's how it
I
ended
loved
with the
that.
cab drivers.
With Balloon Boy.
Yeah.
That was a fantastic end credits scene.
Anything final before we end things?
Go watch this movie.
Yeah, I would
movie.
recommend it.
This is Knights of the D-Pad recommended.
As long as you don't have little kids throwing popcorn at the back of your head during the
I'm
course
so
of it.
sorry. We did not have that. We had a good time.
Yeah, we were sitting.
We'll go over it after. But
Yeah.
They didn't have a good
Okay.
experience. Kyle and I had a good experience.
We had a good
so
experience, yeah.
If you want to, if
We had a lot
you're
of fun.
thinking
I think we
about,
did have a good experience.
If you were thinking about seeing it, go see it. It's a good movie. If you're on the
Definitely
fence,
worth seeing in
worth
theaters.
seeing.
If you're
Yeah.
if
Oh,
you
yeah, the theater
if you're
experience is
even
good.
vaguely familiar with Five Nights at Freddy's.
And if
Definitely
not,
worth going to see.
get familiar with Five Nights at Freddy's and give the movie a try.
Yeah. So if you're on the fence, go see it. If you're not on the fence and are gonna go see it, great. If you're not gonna go see it, we respect your decision. You can also just stream it
I
on
don't
Paramount
respect
Plus.
your decision.
Okay, he doesn't respect you.
Just
All
Court,
right. So, with that, Knights of the D-Pad is a publication of the Daily Universe. We'd like to give a special thanks to Alan Neves and Miles Romney for everything they did and do to support us. And always, thank you, Lillian. Thank you, Jason. In the future, as you're editing this, if you hear this, thank you, Jason.
Future Jason.
Also, if you'd like to reach out to us with feedback, ideas for topics, or just to say hello, you can shoot us an email at knightsofthedpadpodcast@gmail.com. No spaces, all lowercase, just like Scott always does. With that, let's sign off. My name's Aiden,
My name's Court.
I'm Kyle.
and I'm Ben.
and we are the Knights of the D-Pad. We will see you next time.
Bum bum ba-dum bum bum ba-dum ba-dum bum bum ba-dum bum bum ba-dum.